We want to pause.
Okay, we're gonna start the meeting, today, August 18th. Call the meeting to order with roll call from the board of directors. Just a second.
Jim Moore, Michael Cornelia.
Stephanie Paulson. Julie Fall. All here. Any conflicts of interest from the board members?
Jim Moore, none.
Here now.
Stephanie Ballsman, none.
Michael Cornelia, none.
And Julie Fallon. We're gonna hear from the general public, to try and keep it to 20 minutes, 5 minutes per speaker. Please state your name and address before speaking. If you would like anything on the agenda prior to the meeting, it'd be great to put that ahead of time out to the staff before Thursday of the meeting. I will ask for public input on specific items that appear on the agenda after board discussion, staff input, and before action. Any responses to questions regarding the agenda can be more efficiently answered if provided in advance via the district manager. Before we move to approve the agenda, are there any discussion items, general items from public online? No? Anybody in the room? Carrie?
Carrie Newman, 753 Forest Lakes Drive. I would like an answer to a question, and have it added to the public record. Is there a conflict of interest for board members to speak individually with county commissioners off the record?
No, that's not a conflict of interest for a board member to reach out to county commissioners. Anybody can reach out to a county commissioner.
We'll add that to the public record.
Yes,
It'll
it
be part of-
will be.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? No? Approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
This is
with Jim Moore.
This is Lynn, I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Approval of minutes. Before we go on to the minutes, there's a couple of corrections that I would like to have made. Section 4D. It is referring to a question, and that's on page 7. Referring to a question from Board Director Julie Saul, but it doesn't say what the question was. So I'm asking that context be put into that. Wasn't able to get that done ahead of time because it was already sent out to everybody.
So the 4 part, I think what's confusing is, are you speaking of where you expressed frustration with the vendor's extended delay, or where Julie Soul asked the future written reports to specify more clearly where such assistant calls originated?
I don't know, because it just says in response to a question from board director, so I don't know what the question was prior to that.
It's the second to the last paragraph in that section.
After the last bullet point, 1 sanitary sewer overflow.
Okay, I think in response to the question, Morgan Corey explained the district's 40-year capital. Okay, so in my opinion, the question is explained in those bullet points before, but how would you like it to read?
Whatever my question. Because after a month, I didn't know what my question was, and it's referring to a question. So whatever the recording says, what my question is.
So, okay. can we move to approve it with what at my discretion?
We can table once we finish the discussion on what needs to be changed in the minutes, we can table the minutes to the next meeting to be approved at that
Okay.
with the corrections.
5B had Bonnie Selena's name misspelled. 6B, I was doing this via Zoom and I don't recall the road safety committee circulating a petition for law enforcement. I believe it was only mentioned that that is something that we were discussing. It was not mentioned that we were circulating a petition. So that would need to be changed also.
Okay,
Page 12 through 31, which is pages 90 through 98 of the appraiser's information. He's listing 182 Little Bear when it's the combined appraisal, which is 182 and 188 Little Bear. Because he's got it listed at the top.
That would be.
but
those
that's
minutes.
not these minutes that we're approving.
Oh, sorry, I got carried away there. Okay, so that was it for these minutes. So, yeah, I would like to table the approval of the minutes until we discuss the changes.
Okay, Jim, did you want to talk about your changes as well?
I think Julie referenced one, I submitted them, and I frankly, I don't have that in front of me, but they were submitted in writing, and I think they're not really a big deal.
Okay,
If you can incorporate them, that would be great.
Yeah. Was the same,
Bonnie Salona's name
Yes.
appears to be
we
corrected.
fixed it. But we found a second spot that Julie pointed out. The only question I have for the board as a whole, one of the things that Jim brought up is, should there be page numbers on the minutes? So historically, we looked back, there's never been page numbers on the minutes before, but I think that's kind of a board decision, whether you'll want to move in that direction. I just need direction, so I know how to do it from here on out, so we can be consistent.
I only mention that because it's hard to make a comment on the minutes where you need to pull out that it's this bullet point, sub point.
Right.
And then not say on page 7.
Right.
And I think at one point we did try putting the page numbers on the minutes, but it was a long time ago. I would love to see them back on.
So just on the minutes or the packet as a whole? Okay, okay. But our published and approved board minutes don't need page numbers if there's a page number on the packet that's presented to you guys.
Say that again?
So our published minutes, after you guys approve them, we publish them. You want page numbers on those or just on the packet that's presented to you every month?
I think given the tools you're using, if you have some sort of a template, the page numbers can be embedded in the template once and for all.
Yes, but once y'all approve them, it's just the minutes get approved, not the packet as a whole. So my question is, you want the packet numbered, and then once you approve the minutes, page number those? Or,
They would be page numbered if the whole packet is page numbered.
but once you approve it, the record is just the minutes, not the whole packet.
Yeah, I think the reference is just the packet.
The packet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a misunderstanding.
And that was like on a scale of 1 to 100, that was a 1 in terms of importance.
Okay.
100 being the highest.
Okay. So we're gonna page number the packet
Yes.
Yes.
moving forward. Moving on to financial action, disbursement.
I'll make a motion to approve the July 2026 disbursements.
I'm sorry, not the, you still gotta table the minutes.
Oh, we need a motion for that.
Yes,
This is Julie. I motion to table approval of the previous minutes for July 21st, 2026 until the next meeting.
This is only the second.
All those in favor?
sorry, Jim, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Quite all right.
I'm
It's
sorry.
all written out from himself.
Sorry, Stephanie, I didn't hear you because talking. Okay, all the, that's unanimous.
Yes.
Okay, financial action.
All right, Jim Moore Treasurer, make a motion to approve the July 2026 disbursements of $183,700.39.
This is Julia. I second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right,
That's unanimous. Aye. Moving on to overview of Colorado Trust Bank accounts, financial statement.
I have nothing to add to those, barring any questions from the board.
I don't have anything.
no,
All right, staff reports from the district manager.
So, as everyone can tell, the bus stop location is moved. The new director of transportation, Travis, has been wonderful to work with. We think it's gonna work just fine. We have one concern about, traffic blocking the buses the way it's set up, but it didn't seem to happen this morning or this afternoon, so, I'll put a thing out on Facebook to seeing what the parents thought, how they liked it, if it's confusing or if it's flowing well. So we'll see how that goes. Still working to finalize the Trash Panda contract. It should be with their lawyer currently for review. And then there's a training coming up that I would like to apply for. It opens September 15th. It's a 12-week district managers like certification course, if you will. It's going to take up a little bit of time. It lasts 12 weeks. There's 2 hours of class time a week and 10 2-hour virtual sessions throughout this 12-week course, and then 2 in-person sessions at the University of Denver. It is $3,500, but it doesn't have to be paid until the acceptance, which happens in January. So it'd be in the new fiscal year. I just want to see if the board's okay with me allotting some of my time to do this training class.
So, where is it coming out of the budget?
It'd come out of the all 3 funds, out of the admin fund.
Out of the training
Yeah,
fund?
yes.
We still have funds in there?
Well, it wouldn't be paid for this year. We can move it.
Thank you.
We wouldn't have to pay that $3,500 until the acceptance, which happens in January, and by that time we'd be on a new budget cycle, so we could put this into the budget.
then
Okay.
the 2 trips to Denver,
Yeah.
okay, and ballpark, what do you typically think they would cost? They have hotel and travel.
I'm not sure because I'm not sure how long the in-person sessions are. If it's only like a 4-hour ordeal, then it'll be up there and back.
In Charlie.
Yeah.
Well, you need to spend the night. You would.
Yeah. That's tough.
But
And not being like arrogant, but like what do you get out of the course?
so they didn't really go into details of what we'd get out of the course. Let me took a screenshot of it, but they didn't really go into detail. But it's overall operations of a metro district from budget, the
leadership.
leadership, the whole 9 yards.
And who's doing the course? Is it SBA?
SDA partnered with the University of Denver,
Oh,
so it's actual professors that are putting on this course.
Again, like not to be micromanaging, like if there's a syllabus or something like that, or like a rubric, what you guys go through, is there any way you could provide like the president that or some,
I can see what they have, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that too, and what the deadline is, because I'd like to see what it goes over
That's
as
fine.
well. What's the deadline?
I don't know off the top of my head, no.
Okay. You could bring it next meeting, September.
Yeah, or I'll email it out too, so you guys.
Okay. So we can look at it. Okay. Well, in my opinion, let's table that one until we can see what. All involved, everybody's okay with that?
And then that's the Unit 3 survey I'm working on. We had it ready to email out, but come to find out, we only have 5 email addresses for property owners for Unit 3, so I actually had a resident from Unit 3 in here earlier that has been acquiring email addresses, so she's gonna send me that and I'll see how many we get. I would like to put it out via email versus having to mail them, so it's getting pushed back a little bit more, so. And that's.
How many residents are up there, or owners, like?
There's 327 lots. One owner owns about 170 something lots, it's. Without having that Excel spreadsheet in front of me, I couldn't tell you how many different owners there are.
About half the people you'd have to send out,
Yeah,
roughly.
roughly.
Okay. No, good. Did they ever get back to you on the mill stop damage?
No, yeah, I called them again yesterday and I'm about to seek legal on them because they need to get off their butts and come fix it. But for those who don't know, a cement truck got lost and backed up into our mill stop and did some damage to the gutters and the roof.
Especially to twice. To that. Same driver. Same driver.
Same
We're
driver.
in line. The beach.
So-
I get it if the driver's like my mom. But I need to,
Yeah.
So. No resolution today as of now.
And at the last meeting, you had mentioned that they were giving you weekly updates on our new snowplow. What's the update with that?
I would have to ask Daryl. I didn't get that information for the board meeting. I apologize.
Okay.
Honestly, I could put
Is
you
he on
something.
tonight?
He is.
Okay. We'll wait then till. Okay. Anything else for Corey?
A couple months ago, I inquired about, the contract for tree cutting services. Have we looked into that contract? Are we,
We did look into the contract. I don't have. I don't remember what I did with the quote. They're either on my desk or Daryl's got them.
okay,
But I asked Daryl to get them. He gave them to me. I probably.
he kind of reached out? Okay.
Anything else, Corey? All right, so, let's move on to Director of Administration. Oh, sorry. Were there any public comments or questions for Corey? Regarding his report?
Well, one more regarding Michael's comment. I'm curious about this Carrie Newman at 753 Forest Lakes Drive. I'm curious about the tree cutting service contract that Michael referenced. I noticed that Coronado Consulting, Forest Consulting, CFCC, did a beautiful project down by the bus stop.
Yes.
Was that part of that contract, or is this something entirely different?
So that is part of the contract. They do all of our fire mitigation. and hazardous trees. But with the bus stop, we actually applied for the Wildlife Adaptive Partnership grant. So we didn't pay for that entire project. We paid 20% of that.
But there are other proposals for services under this contract in other areas in the district. Is that what I'm gathering?
So we, Daryl and his staff will go through the district and find dead or dying trees or hazardous trees that need to be taken out. And they'll get a tree list from us, and then they'll go through and take care of that tree list outside of the ones that just pop up.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we did ask them for a quote for fire mitigation on the Little Bear properties, pending whether or not the district keeps those or sells those. But as far as any other major project from CCFM, it's just our tree list that we've sent them.
Okay, but this contract that's being discussed kind of opens the door for other issues that may come up in the future.
Yes, we can, it states that we can call them and they'll bid
Oh, yeah.
any particular
I
job.
think that's just excellent.
And last month, or the month before, I think Michael was alluding to the fact that maybe we should get more quotes again, because we've had CCFM for a long time, so we could revisit and see if we want to stay or move on to somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, like this is not a shot at them. They have provided a valuable service. I think it's behooves us to constantly or set a time frame where we should relook at contracts, see other services within the neighborhood or the community, and if they can provide a better, more affordable service. It's something that I think we've been trying to do as a board for quite a while. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is Metro District property or right-of-way property. They're not going onto private property and cutting down trees.
Correct.
Not under our agreement. They do, or they're still a mitigation company in the neighborhood.
They when they work for us, it's only on our property or within.
They do provide a monthly invoice that it comes along with a tree report of a before picture and an after picture of every tree that they cut. That's never been anything that's been presented to you guys. We could do that along with the quote next month. If that's something that, just for informational purposes, but that is something that CCFM provides every month along with their monthly invoicing.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
Roy Westbrook, 194 Little Bear. My question would be, if we are going around asking other mitigation companies for quotes, are we also asking the Coronados to re-quote what they've originally signed a contract for?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, anybody else in the room? Anybody else online about that?
So I kind of have an add-on to that. Again, Carrie Newman, 753 Forest Lakes Drive. There's a stretch along County Road 501. CCFN did the entrance a couple years ago, but there's a stretch along County Road 501 north of there. Which I presume is county right away.
How far down are we talking?
North of the entrance. Below Forest Lakes Drive and Snowbird Court along 501 there. North of the,
I'd have to see it on a map, really know which spot you're talking about. Is it below the Myers ditch or is it
from here to here.
okay.
These lots down here, the lower parts of these lots down next to 501 have a huge hazardous fuel issue. And if the fire were ever to get started across the ditch or even next to the ditch, and it could skip over the ditch, anywhere along in here, could move right up to Snowbird Court and Forest Lakes Drive very quickly. So that may be a county issue.
I was about to say, I think,
Go ahead, Daryl.
sorry, I was trying to figure out my audio. I was about to say, yeah, I think that's on we looked at that. I think that most of that pretty much falls either on Forest Lakes or a residence property or county right away.
No. So it's something that might want to be discussed with the county.
I think so. Yeah.
Thanks,
Okay.
Daryl.
All right, Director of Administration.
Right. We sent out 10 notifications via our notification system. We participated in another movie night. Barb and I attended a webinar on Doc Access, which is our remediation tool. So we learned some tips and tricks on how to keep an eye on that. I also attended a steering committee meeting for the strategic plan and had my one-on-one interview with the facilitator. We have 456 paperless customers, 339 subscribers to the website notifications, 557 auto pay customers. We sent out 54 friendly reminders this month and 1 shut off, and did not have to shut anyone off. We collected off the shut off notice. We mailed 746 monthly utility bills this month.
Any questions for Shauna? No? Anybody online, questions for Shauna? Oh, what happened to all of our people?
They're still there. I just closed it.
No, I don't see any hand raises, Julie.
No hands, okay. Then we'll thank you, Shauna. Let's move to Daryl, roads and roads maintenance. And everybody's got a handout from Daryl.
Yep. Sorry, I didn't get it in the board packet. I guess some of the major points was we installed
Okay, well, can you
new.
speak up just a little bit, please?
Yeah, sorry. 1 second. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So we installed the new wildlife evacuation route signs for the wildfire with the open and closed during the event of a fire. We can close those so that way traffic knows before they turn down that road that the road is closed and they need to proceed to the entrance or exit of Forest Lakes. We painted and restriped the front entrance. We installed 2 mini splits in the offices, our office, a shop office. Robert Collins completed a CDL driving permit. We're still waiting on getting him tested up. He needs a little bit more practice driving around mountains, and but he's doing better. We had to get new tracks for the skid steer. The skid steer tracks completely broke apart. It was down for a couple days until we could get new tracks ordered in, and we poured the pad this month for the dumpster area. It's going good now. Everything seems to be ironed out. There was a little bit of confusion at first. I think we're over that and back to normal. And then, no accidents reported in July. Any other questions or any questions? Sorry.
Were we able to get any money off the metal water tanks and steel, or was that just hauled off for trash?
Yeah. Yeah. No, we got money for it.
Do you happen to have an update of the snowplow?
As far as I was told, we're supposed to be getting it in August. I was told originally late September. I talked to another guy when I went to my training up in Denver. I actually went down to the shop to see what the progress of our plow was. When I went down there, I talked to the actual shop foreman that runs everything in the shop, and he said that date is a little underestimated, that we should be looking more towards the middle of August.
So are you having conversations with somebody else in the office? based
Yeah,
on what-
I'm no longer communicating with the guy I was communicating with. I'm actually communicating with the shop foreman. I think there was some miscommunication on their end, and yeah, I think we're getting pretty good, solid truth now.
Okay. Any board members? Question? Anybody online for any questions for Daryl? No, here in the office, present? No? Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you.
Oh, the bus stop looks great, by the way.
Thank you.
You guys did that really quickly.
Yeah, it went pretty smooth. We were kind of hoping for the best on that situation, moving it and getting the pad and everything over there, and it worked out great.
Awesome.
Terry Newman again, 753 Forest Lakes. I just have a curiosity question, and this was a question that I posted on Neighborly Forest Lakes about the bus stop. I'm just curious, when the buses are entering, are they going up Forest Lakes to Mountain Oak Drive and then around the mail stop and coming in so that they're facing out when they leave?
Yes.
Okay. Nobody was able to answer that, but I figured that was what was going on.
So I saw the bus yesterday when I was walking, and it does have an incline and it's got the turn that it has to do. Are we gonna make that a priority to sand and plow?
Yeah.
Before the buses come in, everyone? Okay. Okay, let's move on to Director of Water and Wastewater, Mark.
All right, a couple typos I see here. I have June written down for the top two items, which is the gallons of water that we produced, which happened to be 5.2, almost 5.3 million gallons for the month of July. And the water that we treated at the wastewater plant was 1.3 million. The road crew did not use very much water in July, only 10,000 gallons. We did have a staff member leaving and was successfully interviewed and hired another one to replace. We did get probably further down PLC replacement for the timber pump station. That just got completed yesterday and today. We did some initial testing today. And what that's going to allow to happen will be, let's say, Starlink goes down. Let's say the backup communication system goes down. We're still going to be able to move water reliably sans any communication. So it takes that kind of stress off the table. As long as the generators run, it'll move water in that situation as well. It's kind of it's a cool concept, and it's one that's kind of being developed here. So I would expect Browns Hill to be using that in some other places. You should get a consulting fee.
Well,
I trade them out.
and the nice thing about what we're establishing is if we do get a cyber attack like some of these other organizations are, we can take SCADA completely offline and still be able to move safe water up the mountain.
Yeah, in a controlled fashion too. It won't require, the crew that we have to be doing something besides checking and monitoring the situation. As opposed to physically manually starting pumps and that kind of thing. So it's really kind of cool. I really think it's gonna make this system, your system and mine, more robust. So. And it's needed to happen for a while. And the rest of the stuff is mostly kind of the standard stuff. I will say that I did receive some correspondence from CDPHE on the LCRR program for another system that I manage. Haven't gotten one for here. And it does look like they're gonna require 20% validation of our system. Hot dates right now will be a list of every address we have. Put into the Excel spreadsheet they have. And submitted to them by, I believe, October 27th. Don't quote me on that, I think it's in October of 27th. And then we will have till 2030 to actually complete the work. Despite how you feel about the way we have to go about doing things, it could cost us some money to pothole on land that isn't ours.
So you're talking about the sewer.
Water,
Water.
the water service line, so the Lennon Parker rule keeps getting mangled by the state, so. We were certified as a non-lead system, now they want us to prove it, even though we use their engineers to do the report. So. Mark and his crew, or the contractor that we hire, will have to go through and haul 20% of our water taps, and then also verify what's going inside the house.
I don't have all the ins and outs of it. I just received it, have basically had an initial look at it. Doesn't make me very happy. I think it's just duplicitous work. Since we're already certified as non-lead, why do we even have to deal with this? But in the infinite wisdom of CDPHE, we're gonna spend some money potentially and do it. So anyway, that's the latest update on that part of it. That's coming down the pipe. And they've extended it a few years out, it seems like. I'm sure they're getting some pushback from other people as well. Asking them, well, why do we have to do this if you're certified by that? Hard question to answer if you're that representative.
Is there grant money for us to be able to do that with, or no?
I'm not aware of any yet.
We might be able to apply for SRF funding. And when they actually kick this program out full board, there could be some state assistance. We don't know about that just yet. But this could qualify for an SRF grant.
And that's mostly what I have, unless you have some questions.
I had one, and preface this is no insinuation against you. I've been watching the alerts on Civic Plus and stuff about leaks popping up here and there. And I don't know if it's because we weren't being notified as often before, or did we just have like a flurry of leaks? And do you have any hunch about why we might be having those?
It is a flurry that continues to happen. It seems like,
It's more like a storm.
yeah, I mean, a couple a month, it seems like, which, and it's not always on our side. Sometimes it's on the resident's side. But on our side, mostly what we've seen has been, well, there's a myriad of reasons why you would get a leak. On the service lines in particular, they're a plastic HDPE material in our system. Some of them have been there 25 and 30 years. So there's an age aspect to some of it. There's also an aspect of bedding. In good old Forest Lakes, back when things were put in early on, they didn't care so much about bedding their pipes very well. So you might have a rock right on there, right on top of the service line. And it might be that big, or it could be this big, or it could be that big. And so the pipes were not protected well. It's something that is exacerbated maybe a little bit by machinery on roads. You know, we had one last year that popped up right underneath the boring machine because it sat there and vibrated in that one spot for 2 days. Boring, boom, popped right up there. They had vibrated the rocks down on top of that service line, put a hole in it. The same thing can happen with our compaction, a road compactor. That one is definitely a beast. And, you know, with the bedding the way it is, it's going to be an ongoing issue. I do know that talking with the US High C guys, you know, they're the guys that do the locate requests like we do. We just got actually tonight so far about 23 locate requests. So we got to take care of try tomorrow. And yeah, it's a pain. But talking with them, they indicated that Pagosa Springs was having a bunch of stuff happen this year too. You know, that's just stuff you hear kind of out there on the, when you're out locating in the same place as that guy moving down streets and stuff. So it's a myriad of things that can cause the leaks, but it does seem to be more than, I've only been here a couple of years, but it's the most I've seen.
Amateur geologist, is there any possibility that change in weather and so forth might create geologic conditions that are also making shearing and
Yeah, it's probably more of a seasonal thing. But yeah, the environment has some kind of activity. Come spring and come fall, and you have the freezing and the thawing, and I usually expect it then. You know, that stuff is moving around and some of it's still not frozen, some of it's frozen. And on both shoulder seasons, somewhere around Thanksgiving, I used to start getting nervous. Now I'm just nervous all the time. Sorry about that.
Well, it was nice that you put on here what the leaks were. I know that, you know, you don't want to have to list all that, but it was kind of nice to see why some of them were linked, so.
Several of the leaks were discovered by Shauna doing and big leaks too on the other side of the meter, you know. Meter read and then investigation yielded the fact that they had a hole in their service line, or they, you know, spent 70,000 gallons out in the ground.
Yeah.
So we're doing what we can to stem those. We actually had one that we fixed pop up again. So we're gonna actually replace about 20 feet of service line. Because it's got several repairs on it as far as we tell.
So help me understand, you just said that you had received 23 locates that you have to do today? You received it, and then
Since about 4 o'clock.
where did those come
Contract. Yeah,
from?
that's stuff we have to deal with for them wanting to dig. For the Clear Networks installation stuff.
So the contractors and homeowners are required to call 811 to get television matters if it's on more than 18 inches. Is I think.
Yeah, that's
That way. The utility providers come out and mark the line so they don't get hit.
But does
What
kind
fraction?
of like that's a big ask. Do they not get a
There's
amount of
70,
time
they have
to-
72 hours to do it.
Only 72 hours?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not a week or 2
Well, it
weeks?
depends, some of them are, 1,200 feet here,
Yeah,
when you get service lines and whatever else is under there that are responsibility, and then the electric companies out with their guys and phone and all that other stuff.
okay,
It does put a crunch on what you thought we were gonna be doing that day.
yeah. Okay.
Lots of colors.
Anybody on the board have questions for
Just,
Mark?
you were saying how you can still run the pumps when there's a power outage. Do you have like a backup, like if you needed that Starlink up and running during an outage? Is there a battery backup or generator down there
So
or is there any need for it?
the generator project. That we completed, has a very large generator down at the shop area.
Yeah.
That now will also tower the shop and the well fields.
Okay,
Before, the only thing that got powered down there was the lift station. So you're out. That generator project also included a generator timber tank and one at Greenwich Tank, which will tower those pumps and those pump stations. So we can power the well field and move water all the way up the hill now. Our biggest constraint in that situation would be fueling activities.
sorry.
Fueling activity.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Anybody online have questions? No? In the audience here? No? Okay, we're gonna move on to old business. Clarification of covenants and enforcement, presentation by Corey.
Yeah, so in your packet, you'll see a memo I put together that kind of summarizes everything that I've done with our current legal staff. There's been quite a bit of confusion on what Forest Lake's role is with the covenants. And we, being a Title 32 special district, have no authority or power to enforce covenants. Now, the covenants still are with the land. For, say, Jim and Lynn had an issue with each other, Jim could take Lynn to court and try to get the covenants enforced. The district cannot. With that said, some of the covenants that are in Forest Lakes have been deemed by the court to be invalid. And suggest other covenants could be invalid as well. More specifically, Unit 4 covenants were deemed invalid by the court and reverted back to, I believe, the 73 covenants, or I don't know the exact date off the top of my head. But those could be taken to court and deemed invalid as well. So as far as covenants go for the district, there's nothing we can do about enforcing them. It's strictly property owner versus property owner unless it's been deemed invalid by the court.
But that's covenants and the POA. The POA had the covenant.
The POA had the
Had the
covenants.
covenant. Okay.
And when the POA defunct, the covenants stay with the land, not the district. We don't have the legal authority to enforce those. It's not within our wheelhouse.
We'll get with you after the board. Yeah. Okay.
So I know we had this conversation back in 2023 with Guy when we took them off the websites and all that, but
Yeah.
it's just reinforcing we as a metropolitan district cannot enforce covenants, period.
Okay. And this has all been, it has gone through our legal counsel to,
And the package is the memorandum from the lawyer that kind of breaks it down, what was asked and his answers and discussion on the whole item.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Corey on that? On the board? No? Okay. Go ahead.
So Robin Bartosh, 90 Little Bear Lane. Question, does Forest Lakes own property here? Do we own easements? Does Forest Lakes, do we own? property?
Forest Lakes does own property. But per our attorney, because we are Title 32 Metropolitan District, we cannot enforce it.
But it's
we
property,
don't have-
I mean, you're the property owner.
The district is property owner. So it's kind of hard to. I know where you're coming at, and I've had the same conversation with a gentleman up on Blue Ridge Circle. Even though we own the property, we're not technically. We're an entity, not a individual. I'm sorry, I'm trying my best to explain this. Because I asked that same question to our legal counsel, and he says we can own all the property we want up here. We're not technically property owner. We're an entity. We're a local government running. And per state statute, we don't have that authority to enforce that.
So I could have a fireworks stand or something on your property, and you guys can't do anything about that.
We would call
I could have
it.
a
We would call law enforcement.
The county code would fall into place at that. So we still fall under La Plata County codes. If you violate those codes, there are code enforcement officers for the county that a neighbor district, you can be reported. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to say this, but I was kind of part of this with Guy. The POA had the teeth to enforce the covenants.
And
Or code enforcement officers or police, district police, I don't want to call it police, could enforce those covenants. We don't, as a district, have any teeth to support, to enforce any of this.
if there was an HOA or a POA that or they could grant us their power to be able to enforce those covenants. This thing, so there is not one. Power can't be granted to us.
Because it's been disbanded by the fort.
Right. Yeah. So if our neighbor's out there without a spark arrestor doing, you know, his chainsaw on Forest Lakes property easement next to my property, then I just call the police
County or,
on my neighbor.
Yeah.
Because.
Well,
we can't
if
enforce
it's on
something.
district property, you can call me and I will call, because that was more not fall in line with the fire department was come out and issue those ones.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
It is frustrating because we've all wanted to be able to enforce things, but we can't.
I was just thinking about all that land I ride my bike, all the other Walmart State. It's like how much of that is ours and somebody's back there with his shotgun. I mean,
There's like 1 mile of that.
It's
Well,
hard.
then we got a section of BLM land right in the middle of the district that people can hunt on.
Yeah.
So excuse me, I have a question. So this is
Please.
Vicky.
Vicki,
And,
can you provide us, please?
116 Buckhorn Road. And my question is regarding those easements and the culverts that are under Loop Road. They're not on my property, that have not been cleaned out. And I've been asking for over 5 years to have them cleaned out. The last person I talked to was over a year ago. He came and he assessed the situation. He was a very nice gentleman. And he was assessing it and he said, yeah, we've learned, because they were told a long time ago there was only a few of these culverts. But he said, we've learned, I think he said there was like 68 culverts. I mean, this is not under my driveway. This is under Loop Road. So I'm just curious as to how you guys are doing with that productivity.
We're actively working on the culverts.
Okay.
We've replaced several culverts. We've cleaned out several culverts. Yeah,
Okay.
we've assessed several culverts. Yeah, prior to that, we didn't have any. There was no program for Forest Lakes for culvert inspections, culvert maintenance, any of that. We have that now in place.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
I just
we
wanted a
may
progress
not have.
report.
Yeah,
I just
we'll
a
get there.
progress report. But yeah, the guy came and whoever assessed it, he just said, yeah, this one's pretty bad. So just wanted a progress report.
Thank you.
And what was your
Anybody
address
else online?
again?
116 Buckhorn Road.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Anybody else online? No? Anybody else in here? No?
Again, Gary Newman, 753 Forest Lakes. I have a copy of the covenants for Unit 5 that date back to. They were the covenants that were in place when we bought our property. And they stated that you could not cut a tree over 6 inches on your property. So if there were any way currently to enforce those covenants, we would be in huge violation.
Yeah, there are.
Just to put those covenants into perspective.
There is nothing we can do. Covenants are gone and disbanded, so.
And I cut trees over 6 inches on my property before the covenants were deemed no longer valid.
So you cut trees over 6 inches in diameter?
In the covenants. That's how stupid they were
On your own.
on your own property.
You additionally had to get approval to paint your house.
Any other, let's see, board we're done, public comments are done. There's no motion that's needed. Okay, we're gonna move on to old business 5B. Decision to sell or keep the district property. One moment, please. Before we start with this discussion, I spoke to Ann Terry, the SDA legal counsel, on 8/17, which was yesterday, about the topic to be discussed, and it was advised that it be handled this way. Board Director Jim Moore would like to make some comments prior to discussing the sale of the properties. Once he is done, I will open up the discussion for individual resident comments for a maximum of 2 minutes per resident. I will close the discussion if comments become disrespectful. So, presentation.
This is,
Oh, sorry, Jim.
this is Jim Moore, treasurer. It's a response to Robin Kissel scolding Julie Sewell at the July 21st meeting of the board. And reminder, tonight we're discussing the sale of lots 407 and 409, which are also known as 182, 188 Little Bear, and 510 Alpine Forest Drive. Primary purpose for the sale at this point is that we're considering using the funds to repair the drain system on the Simpatico Dam. It's a very expensive project. This money would be set aside and earmarked for that purpose. Or any money realized. This is a rebuttal to accusations made by Robin against Julie at the 721 meeting. Robin had her say that I'm refuting her comments. It's not really an invitation to debate, but definitely, as Julie said, there'll be a couple of minutes ago, and to each we want to comment. At that meeting, former board president Robin Kissel scolded the current president, indicating that Robin, in essence, should have known better. This is Julie's assertion. Robin should have known better than her many assertions about covenants and Greenbelt. Robin claimed Julie was wrong and that she needed to get her facts straight. The fact is that Julie was correct in every way that matters. At the April 21st meeting of the board, Robin came prepared with documents which appeared to be old HOA and POA documents as evidence that these lots were greenbelt and protected by those covenants. And this was in opposition to Roy Westbrook, who was inquiring about buying one of those lots. She very visibly referenced these documents with the board and staff as she opposed the sale. The May 19th meeting of the board, Robin once again opposed the sale based on citing board findings and notes from a 2020 board meeting. The determination then was based on invalid information and references to old, then defunct covenants overruled in court. In 2011, the findings of a long-running lawsuit between property owner and the old POA declared that Unit 4 covenants were invalid. And the settlement bankrupted the POA. That's why the POA surrendered everything to us. I've got a memo that surrendered everything to the Forest Lakes Metro District. This means the 2020 decision by the then board was based on bad information then. In the words of our attorney Kosnick, in a memo to the board and staff on May 6, 2026, current memo, our council states unequivocally, the district plan for Forest Lakes Metro District does not designate any specific property as open space or greenbelt and does not restrict the ability of Forest Lakes Metro District to transfer any property that it owns. Interestingly, right after that, Robin and her realtor both provided letters expressing interest in buying property adjacent to theirs. So how should Robin have known? On September 19th, 2023, okay, during Robin's term on the board, and I believe as president, Attorney Kosnick sent a memo to the board and staff stating unequivocally, Forest Lakes Metro District does not have the legal authority to enforce and cannot enforce covenants. The very same covenants used to justify the Greenbelt restrictions. Robin was on the board, and I think she may have been president at the time. At the October 10th, 2023 meeting, where Attorney Kosnick attended in person and made a presentation to the board on this subject, and removed all vestige and encouraged us to remove all vestiges of references to the now defunct covenants from the district's website, which happened in the form of a resolution number 2305 at that meeting with a unanimous vote, including Robin's approval. So in short, Robin knew about this issue based on then current guidance from Attorney Kosnick. She had a duty to know and understand the implications of the outcome of the lawsuit and the guidance of counsel. And yet, at the April 21st meeting and the May 19th meeting, she presented to the board her thoughts on the now defunct covenants and claimed the restrictions on sale of Greenbelt may affect the possibility of selling this property. She should have known better. And I encourage her to apologize to Julie for her behavior at the July 21st meeting. But I have one more point, and it's a simple one. We paid our attorney 4 times for the same advice, for the same counsel, again and again and again and again. And I'd like to know why it took 4 times to convince you that what you've been saying about covenants in Greenbelt has no bearing on anything. I'm done.
Can I say something? I think it's pretty shallow for board leadership to attack public opinion. This is uncalled for. Once again, we have a presentation we gotta sit through. We are in charge of budget and policy, not attacking public at these meetings, and this is just.
This is the former
This is my
president of
turn
the
to
board.
talk. She is a member of the public. I don't care about her previous position. This is a board meeting where we discuss policy and budget, not attacking public. There are people in this room that I've disagreed with in the past, and I'm not sitting on a podium attacking them during these meetings. I think it is so uncalled for, and it is just absolutely ridiculous. Thank you.
Anybody else on board?
I'm sure that I will get bashed for saying something, but I also feel like it's an inappropriate use of our board positions to be belittling a member of the public. You are totally entitled to your view. I agree that we are not here to belittle members of the public, regardless of what their role has been. There may be times where something you're doing today is deemed inappropriate later on. And I would hope that nobody would feel the need to do that to you. I feel like it's inappropriate also, and that's all I have to say about it.
Okay. Jim? Nothing?
No, that's, let's get to the property
Okay.
discussion.
And that's why I had contacted SDA Legal to find out, you know, what we needed to do in this situation. And she understood what was going on. I explained it all to her, and this was her guidance. So, does anybody online have anything they would like to say? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Just in agreement that this is a total waste of everybody's time and we don't need to be discussing this. Let's move on.
Anybody?
I would like. Hello?
Hang
Yes,
on just-
this is Liz Otter. I can't believe I just sat through that. You wonder why people don't run for a board position when someone gestates things like that? What was the purpose of that other than to say what the lawyers said? It's totally unnecessary. I'm embarrassed. You guys are adults, and I just can't believe it. I'm sorry. Very rude.
Thank you. Anybody else?
You need to say who those 2 people were. They didn't have addresses. Just for the minutes, I don't.
Yeah, that was Liz Otter. Liz, what was your address?
Just a minute. 41 Little Bear Lane.
Hey, Vicky, what was your address?
116 Buckhorn Road. Sorry, my internet just started acting up.
All right. Anybody else online? No, anybody in the room?
Or Westbrook, 194 Little Bear Drive. I would say that the confusion that happened between the Robin and Julie, I would say that when you're talking about Greenbelt is a lot more misunderstood than what you're looking at in terms of covenants. I don't think anybody understood at the time that the POA was the ones that issued those Greenbelt covenants versus Greenbelt, because, you know, I was told when it's Greenbelt, it can't be sold. And so I think the issue there was the fact that maybe Robin understood the covenants were debunked, but maybe did not understand that the Greenbelt fell under those covenants. So I think that that's where maybe Julie had an opinion about it and Robin had a different opinion about it. It was a miscommunication that probably never should have spiraled out of control in the first place. Had it just been a conversation
Thank you.
about what was being misunderstood there.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Gary Newman again, 753 Forest Lakes Drive. I'm a little confused, I guess. 4 on the list is a motion board decision. Has the board concluded its discussion before it makes the motion?
No, at least I'm assuming we hadn't talked about the sale.
Yeah.
This was a,
So maybe comments are premature.
Public comments?
Yes, or premature. Don't you
The
have-
board, well, the board has, we haven't gone to the district property sale discussion yet, so this is just about what Jim was saying. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay, we're gonna move on to decision to sell or keep the property presentation.
Okay, in the package, you'll see a memo from me that kind of summarizes everything that legal counsel has done for us regarding us being able to sell greenbelt lots. There is from the sound of a common misconception, greenbelt properties, even if they are designated as greenbelt, can be sold unless there are certain deed restrictions or restrictions placed upon. These properties do not have those restrictions. And that pretty much the key findings from the lawyer is there are no legal restrictions preventing FLMD from selling the greenbelt lots to private owners. So the district is well within its legal rights to sell district-owned properties. As requested, I did get the properties appraised. If you look further in the packet, you'll see kind of a quick comparison between what the realtor provided me and the appraised value from 360 appraisal. 510 Alpine Forest came in at 49,500 from the appraiser. 182 came in at 162,500 and 188 Little Bear came in at 94,000. The combined appraisal for 182 and 188 came in at 182,500. The realtor's numbers for 510 Alpine Forest Drive, she didn't provide us a number for that one. She doesn't seem to think that that property will sell. 182 Little Bear, she came in at 175,000, and 188 Little Bear, she came in between 59,000 and 64,000, and I combined her estimate of a combined price is 335,000, 100,000 for 182 and 188 if we were to sell them together as one property. Jim went through and put together a spreadsheet that kind of, I'll let Jim kind of discuss the spreadsheet because I'm not quite sure I understood it.
The assessment or evaluation that I did took into account where the comps were. It jumped out at me that the appraiser, especially when setting a value on the combined Little Bear lots, went pretty far afield into property that's hard to say is comparable except for the acreage. And so in particular, the combined value the appraiser assigned to the two Little Bear lots seemed low. And the point of my evaluation was just to point out where the comps were pulled from, many outside the district, versus the realtor who chose all properties within the district to use as comps. But what I'll point out is that in the end, they're kind of within a stone's throw of one another. The two evaluations are what you would expect in deviation between a realtor who sees an opportunity to sell and would be eager to market the properties versus a hard and fast discussion by an appraiser, again, who kind of surprised me with the comps, but you know, I don't see enough difference here to be a big concern. And in the end, it's up to a realtor to market the properties and sell them, not the appraiser. And the appraiser's valuation is not binding in any way. But the effort I put into that evaluation I sent to you was largely just to point out that they were all over the place. They were in Enchanted Forest and out in the middle of nowhere over here on 502, and that's it.
And so really what I would really appreciate, so we can move forward on this matter or drop this matter, is the board make the decision on whether to sell them or not. If we do sell these properties, that money would be earmarked for a specific project, i.e. either the tow drain at the dam, fixing the slide gate that's got a minor leak in it, or earmarking it to build some more shade structures around the lake, or a big gazebo to kind of replace the recreation center that we took out. I'm impartial to either way, so
How would you earmark the funds? What specific methodology would you use?
so in our to sell, we can put in a line item and we can call it whatever the project we decide to call it, and then in our software, it'll keep track of that. That money will sit in the same bank account that we currently have, but in our software program, it'll have a line item for X, Y, or Z. And then you'll put that money will sit in there and you'll see it on the financial statement.
Okay. Given the nature of what we're considering, I just wanted to make sure that the residents would know that this money's not just gonna get swallowed up into the general fund in some way, unless there's some sort of emergent need for it or something. But we set a goal to sell the properties possibly with the intent to do a specific project.
Yes.
In my opinion, the sale of the properties would benefit all of Forest Lakes, not just 22 residents on Little Bear. In my opinion, the funds should be used for infrastructure, most importantly, the dam, which has been pushed off for 3 years. I just want everybody to realize what Guy has told me, what Corey has told me, that if that dam fails, San Moritz and Meadowbrook are no longer around because all that water is going to go straight down. So the cost of the repair, according to Corey, from a 2024 quote was $500,000. We do not have that. He has mentioned before that we have to have a certain amount of funds in order to borrow funds. Am I stating that right?
Yeah.
So if we don't have a certain amount of funds in our pot, we aren't going to be able to get 500 or 600,000. for repair of the dam.
And that number will vary depending on the grant match or the loan match or whatever the terms are, so. I can't give you a set number of what that dollar amount is.
So my opinion is considering to sell for infrastructure, not for a community center. We need infrastructure. We've got things failing on the water side. We've got culverts failing. We've got the dam that needs to be fixed. We don't have enough funds. And that's my opinion. Anybody else?
Yeah, kind of similar. I wanted, if we're gonna sell the properties, I think. Given their histories, it should be going into. Some type of recreational piece, which I think includes the dam, if. Assuming there's extra money or while it's there, and cleaning out the lake. Makes sense, they'll be able to stay at a higher level longer. The public will have more enjoyment. Trees. We've talked about it for 4 months. And I don't think we've heard outside of the benefit to the people on Little Bear, the increased traffic that they would experience for that property has been the main concern raised. Outside of the historical stuff that isn't enforceable. But I haven't heard any benefit to the district keeping those properties that outweighs the benefit to me of what we can do it for with the dam, and again improving cleaning out the lake while we're fixing the dam and making the lake more enjoyable for everybody. I do think in the process we should establish potentially like minimum value, or at least have that discussed. I think that should come behind. That's getting into the sale part, so that needs to be in an executive session, but I don't know if that needs to be in.
Hey, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Zoom kind of just crashed on us.
And then the last, I think, is Jim. If you look at his stuff, I think the appraised gaming loud. I don't think, and I agree. I think it's the assessment of like an appraiser's looking at something different, whereas we're trying to sell it. So I think that's the more likely price. But yeah. So those are just my thoughts.
Stephanie?
Well, I just thought, and it just briefly touches on it here, that we would look at this as a public, whether it was a survey or a vote on whether the community members want to sell this property, this district property, and that's not being brought up at all, and that's the reason I voted for it last month. And now we're not even discussing that anymore. That this is gonna be sent out to the public, so. I don't know.
I don't think we did a vote last month.
But
Yeah, we did.
investigate the requirements and costs of placing the matter on a future ballot,
Okay.
and that was in the motion.
So excuse me, this is Vicky
Oh,
again
sorry,
at
Vicky.
116 Buckhorn.
Well, they can get to you in just a minute. We'll get to right now.
I'm just, because I don't know address numbers, I'm just confused as to the exact location we're talking about.
It's two properties on off of Little Bear that sit two properties off of Little Bear and a third one in Alpine Forest.
510 Alpine Forest, 182 and 188 Little Bear Drive.
Are they right on the lake?
No,
No,
They're okay. So I just know Little Bear is the cul-de-sac, so that's why I'm trying to picture it in my head.
Little Bear Lane, is that maybe difference? Or is what it's listed as here? Should be. That little road's drive as well, or the address is.
that. And it did.
Is there a map she can pull up online?
I know Vicky, I'll get with you offline. Just sort of on the map where it's at.
What are the addresses on Little Bear Lane?
They're Little Bear Drive.
Little Bear, right? Yeah, okay.
182 and 188.
Is like says this appraisal technique, but it is Little Bear Drive.
Stephanie, did you have anything?
Yeah,
You're done. Oh, I'm sorry. Michael, were you?
yeah,
No, I'm done.
okay.
That was-
I still a firm believer that having open spaces that are, that can be used for, fire break. In this case, I do believe that these lots have some benefit to people that way. I feel like, just like Michael talked about, that we had brought up having this taken to a vote, and I still think that the residents of Forest Lake should have a say in that by a vote. Would still like to look into it. And I don't know that selling it right now is the best and highest use that we would have for these properties at some point in the future. I understand what you're saying about the financial implications of having more funds. We could use more funds for pretty much every single thing we're dealing with in our community. Unfortunately, we're in a place that decades of issues have gotten us here. Certainly, this could be a short-term fix. It could also be a catastrophic fix that we could have gotten more from it later on. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. My personal view is that these spaces were there for a reason, and I don't know that we fully comprehend why they were put into place. That's just my view.
I'd like to speak to the referendum concept and just say it sounded like a good idea at the time. To be frank, we've done far more elaborate projects ranging from a $300,000 dump and service truck to acquiring the 160 acres of now greenbelt, designated greenbelt and escape route for fire access, and numerous other projects of this scope, none of which were brought to the community as a referendum.
Down under.
In delaying the decision on this accomplishes nothing other than delay.
And I will agree that there were probably things that should have come to referendum. Paying $600,000 for 160 acres of land, maybe that should have been to a vote too. I think that's what was paid for that 160. I don't know, I don't quite have I do believe it was something extraordinary. And then we would have had that money to put into the lake, I mean, there have been decisions that have been made over the past, that a board just decided to do things I don't even think it was during a public hearing, that decision was made. So yeah, bad decisions get made all the time, but I just, my view is that I'm not a fan of selling our properties. That's all.
I think that's actually an interesting point. But I take it very differently of if we paid 600,000 for the 160 acres and those are accessible areas, because I think that's where the trails are. So the community can enjoy it. That's $3,000 an acre versus $40,000 an acre. I don't think that's fiscally responsible to be long-term saying they might be worth more in the future. We're not. We're not in the real estate business. I think it's exiting it is what makes sense outside of, again, for any property that we don't have a known use for, don't have a planned use for, don't have a future use for.
And it's not frankly accessible.
Yeah.
You know, it's tucked away behind a row of houses in a way that essentially nobody knows it's there and it might be available for use. And there's no signage, there's no maintenance, there's nothing. You know, we mow a lot of the other properties. We don't do anything there to make that land useful to all residents as a green belt. It's just there. The comments about fire break, what's beyond that is similarly a fire break. There's almost nothing back there except one home that's not even in Forest Lakes Metro District. So there is a fire break. There's also our escape route. So I don't see the advantage of that as a fire break, especially since it's not maintained in any way as a fire break.
Yes, I would disagree with that. There's a heavily wooded Ludwig Mountain right next to it that is very heavily wooded. And the escape route is fairly far away from that through some pretty heavily wooded areas. So I think having that open space is a fire break, and I can't remember the year. It was quite a while ago now, but a fire what was started in the wooded area of Ludwig Mountain, and that was a very big fire break that the fire department used to fight that fire. I mean, it's I know that we spray weeds and stuff in there. Still, don't we? And we used to. I don't know if we do anymore.
I don't, Daryl, is our weed sprayer contract spray those two properties? I don't believe we are currently since I can hear.
Yes, he's been doing all the green belt.
To include.
The ones behind the property, I do not think that he's been doing those. The one next to the property, yes.
With the ditch?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It did happen in the past. Usually once or twice a year.
Well,
I don't know what happened with that.
if the board chooses not to sell these properties, we did get a quote from CCFM to get them fire mitigated. In the event they don't get sold. And we'll make sure they get on the weed list but if we're gonna move forward with selling them, then we're not gonna spend the money to get them mitigated.
So an appraisal.
And
An appraisal is just what anybody correct me if I'm wrong, but an appraisal is what you get for a house or land to know that you can sell it for this amount, the appraised amount. Someone has to be able to get a loan for that amount or whatever, but the selling price can be more than the appraisal. And the selling price, according to his suggestions, kind of go along with the realtor. Selling them all individually, we would get more money, more funds. Little Bear 3.58 would be 49,000 per acre. 188 Little Bear, which is 1 acre, it'd be 52,000 an acre. If we sold them together, it'd only be 38,400 per acre. So it doesn't make sense to combine them.
That's according to the appraiser, the real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what you're getting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the market value. It's not what the appraiser charging.
Yeah.
The realtor saw it in the reverse.
Right. So, I mean, I've said what I need to say as far as my opinions on the property. If anybody else doesn't have any comments from the board, we want to open it up to the public. No comments? No more? Okay, we'll come back after the residents in here. Go ahead.
Robin Bartosh, 90 Little Bear Lane. And I know, first off, you guys have done a fabulous job in this neighborhood. I've been here since 08. Built up Cub Court, you guys have done a fantastic job, especially with the money. I am so blown away with the improvements. But there's definitely a reason why these green belts were designated green belts. And now that you're saying that there's no enforcement of covenants, there's a reason why there's no houses on those properties. I hike my dogs back there all the time to hit the trails and the access road, the evacuation road. There's a reason why those lots aren't really buildable. And if there's no way to reinforce covenants and somebody can put a motorway or a speedway back there and drive, you know, I mean, there's nothing that I can do about the noise level or whatever anybody wants to do on those beautiful acres that did buffer when that mama was homeschooling her kids and that little rocket went down and lit up 10 acres of property damage and was coming this way towards my home. I mean, I'm so grateful for the green belts that we've left, and it's not worth it to me for $50,000 or $60,000 or $100,000. So somebody could buy those properties and try to put a house back there. Have you guys seen those lots? I mean, it would take a lot to make those viable, livable, or a motor speedway, whatever the rumor is about what neighbors want to do with that piece of land that we can't enforce. It just, to me, there's a reason why those were designated green belts, and my vote is to please not even consider selling that. It's not worth whatever piddly chunk change that is. It's like, that's, I mean, that you guys have done a beautiful job with the money that what you guys have. I'm impressed. It's great. It's above and beyond. Yes, the dam is important, but I know we can raise that money to fix it. I mean, we have been in worse situations. I've been in this area 34 years and I love it here. I love you guys. I love what you do. But I think, you know, we just need to consider the reasons why that was designated green belt and respect that.
Thank you. Anybody else in here? In the room?
Yes.
Hold on just a moment, Liz. We've got people in the room
Roy
that are
Westbrook.
commenting.
Westbrook, 194, Bear Guy. Really, I don't have much to say other than I kind of regret bringing this up. The only reason I brought it up was because there was land behind me that could potentially be built on, and I didn't want to get sold out from under me and having somebody build back there. I will say this, I know pretty good amount about easements and everything else. I will say this, 188 Little Bear is going to be dang near impossible to build on. That sliver that runs down the side of my property, there's an electrical easement through there. You can't put a road over an electrical easement. You can't put a driveway in unless it's 12 foot wide per the county and 10-foot setbacks on each side of the neighboring properties. So they would have to try and get not only an easement through 158 and an easement through 182 just to put a driveway in there, and then they got to try and make setbacks to build their home, which I believe is 40 feet each way or somewhere around there. I don't know the specifics of, but I can look it up. So that one in itself for 95,000 for unbuildable land is a little crazy to me. I brought this up so that I could purchase land and nobody build behind me. I'm the one who said that, yes, I wanted to build a little track back there. I never said I wanted to build a speedway back there. I want to build a track for my daughter back there to ride her little side by side, because I got told by one of the neighbors if she wanted to ride it, to go ride it in my backyard. So that's what I'm trying to do. And you guys just said you purchased 160 acres for $600,000, and now you're thinking $338,000 is worth for 5 acres? I mean, come on. One, banks go by the appraised value. You cannot get a loan for property over the appraised value unless you come up with cash. So you guys are talking about market value. Well, someone's got to come up with a bunch of cash too, because the appraiser is saying that it's worth $188,000. But you want to sell property for $95,000 that you can't even potentially build on. I bet you if I went and got a parcel research done on it, I bet you it would show. If I went to planning with it, it would show that they would have a hell of a time building. I'm trying to buy this to preserve. I'm not trying to put infrastructure back there. I agree with you on a fire break, even to an extent. I think it could burn through that grass pretty fast with as long how big it is. But if I purchase the property and I'm wanting to pay market value, I've had a board member in here keep saying that I wanted a cheap value. I wanted a cheap value. I wanted a fair value. But I'm not trying to build infrastructure back there. I want to keep it the way it is. I just don't want anybody building behind it. It lowers my property value when you guys sell it to somebody else. And now I don't have open space behind me. It hurts her property value. That's why we are talking to you guys about, like, if you guys are going to sell it, please give us first chance. At least hear our offer before we talk to other people about this.
One factual response. Those are both flag lots. The flag poles aren't easements. It's owned by the lot. 2 flag poles for roads and all the other infrastructures that go in side by side, accessing those. And they're platted out. They're acceptable lots by the county standards, and the driveway access is designated on the map. It's a subtle difference, but those are not easements. There's no easement securing required to gain access to any of these properties. They have their deeded driveways.
One thing that I think we need to make perfectly clear is that this board and the previous board, and probably the board before that, did not purchase that 160 acres. It was back 9, almost 10 years ago that the district manager or somebody purchased that property. So that's when I came on and I heard about it, that they just, they just all of a sudden, we purchased that property, and then, they didn't tell anybody. They just said, we're spending all that money. And we're like, well, what's it for? They're like, well, we don't know. We're just buying it. It came up for sale. So that was done by somebody else, not any of the previous boards here in the last 8 years. Anybody else here? Go ahead, sir.
Hi, my name's Bill Powell. I'm a 25.5-year resident of Forest Lakes. I love Forest Lakes. Absolutely can't get over the beauty that we have. But I own a real estate company. I have a mortgage company. And I've heard there's 3 realtors that have been approached to sell this land. I would just encourage you to use real estate agents who live in Forest Lakes. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know what lady was mentioned was it Julie?
Julie.
Okay, so Julie's a great realtor.
That's, yeah, we've discussed that.
Yeah, I pay Forest Lakes dues, I pay taxes twice as much as the town of Bayfield. We're living up here. So I would just like to have my hat thrown in to be able to, if we were to sell these properties.
Do you know what the 150 acres cost?
I do not, but we can find out.
Here.
Harry Newman, 753 Forest Lakes Drive. I would just like to address the proposition of a referendum. How would you communicate to the residents in Forest Lakes that they could vote on this referendum? And I guess there is no clear answer to that other than put something on their bill. We have an issue in Forest Lakes with people being aware of what's going on in here. And if this were ever to be put up for a referendum, I could guarantee you that the votes would be biased to East Unit 4, of which how many residents in this room are from that? People up in Upper Forest Lakes don't give a shit. They just drive down and they go out. They drive past my house every day. So I don't think a referendum is a real possibility. Because it's going to, the results are going to be biased. Now, to your point about property values. You say that development behind there would reduce your property values. But where were you when we proposed to put gates in Unit 5 and you accused us of wanting to increase our property values by doing that? So there's a dichotomy going on around here about property values. And really, that's what it's all about, is who stands to gain in their property values by a decision that's made by the board and who stands to lose.
Thank you. Anybody else online? Liz?
I just wanted to have Corey repeat the assessment or whatever the value was that he reported.
Can you state your address, please, Liz?
Yes, 41 Little Bear Lane, right across from the properties.
Do you want both the appraisal and the realtor, or just one or the other?
Just one or the other.
There's the appraised value from 360 appraisal for 510 Alpine Forest was $49,500. For 182 Little Bear Drive was $162,500. 188 Little Bear Drive was $94,000, and the combined appraisal for 182 and 188 Little Bear was $182,500 from 360 appraisal. From the realtor.
Okay, that's fine. And could I ask one more question, please?
Yeah.
Did the realtor suggest combining the properties or selling them individually?
The realtor suggested combining the properties.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Kendall. S25. Please state your name and your address.
Hi, Kendall, 194 Little Bear Drive. I just wanted to make a comment to what Jim said earlier about the comps that were used for the appraisals. Appraisers have specific regulations to where they have to use recent sales or listings, and they are wanting to use ones that are done within like the past year, and they can go outside that scope. But that's why there are comps from other areas like Enchantis Forest and other surrounding places, is because there aren't any comps within Forest Lakes that meet those same acreage. And so I just wanted to let him know that that's why the appraiser used other comparable sales within the past 12 months or 2 years for those comps.
Thank you.
Thank you. Denise Newman, please state your name and address.
Yeah, this is Denise Newman, 753 Forest Lakes Drive. My question is, was there only one realtor that looked at these properties to give you their estimates? Because different realtors can give you different prices, and there's realtors that sell homes on property And there's realtors that sell just property. So, I mean, was it just one realtor? We didn't get more than one realtor?
No, I got one appraiser to come out, and I got one realtor to come out. And the realtor that came out is my realtor that has sold me my homes here in Colorado. And she came out and did it as a favor for me, just so we
Well,
have some ballpark numbers.
you can have any realtor come out and assess property. And I've had 3 realtors come out and look at my property, and I've gotten 3 different estimates. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying is like, why don't we get other realtors involved? And it's specifically a realtor that sells land, not just
Well,
housing.
for one thing, we wanted to get through all this other stuff before we started bringing in realtors, and the board had decided that before we did realtors, to get appraisal. That's what we voted on last month. So before we went out and got the appraisal, so we could all see what an appraised value would be on each property to help us make our decision to move forward to either sell or not to sell.
And
Okay, well,
do that,
my suggestion would be to get other realtors involved, and it doesn't cost to have them come and look at it. So, thank you.
Yeah, to answer that, like, once we do, if we do proceed with selling, I think that would be, the process would be to interview a number of realtors and have them pitch us what their plan is for selling it. And I agree with, I forget, apologies, missed your name, but I agree, I will be advocating, if we go that route, that it should be someone in district. If we can, but I think it's a good point as well, of people who sell land versus property, so making sure that'd be something we would want to review.
Well, you could be an expert in both. You can be an expert.
Yeah.
Daryl, you had your hand raised?
Yeah. So when we tore down the rec center, we talked about potentially buying something or building another recreation building somewhere. That is a potential place for another rec center or another park or anything like that. It is close to the lake. That is the main focal point and the main recreational place for Forest Lakes. I see more people recreating at the lake than anywhere else in Forest Lakes. That's the prime real estate for, if you want to sell another property, the old recreation center is a prime place to sell. I think there was a gentleman that was wanting to buy easement. He would probably even be willing to buy it, but that is golden real estate for recreational use in the future. I know we don't have the money for it now. I know that we probably won't have it for a couple of years, but who's to say what we'll have later?
Thank you. Hold on one second, we got one other person, I can't see who that is. Has their hand raised.
You said.
Or that is Daryl.
It's just Daryl. He hasn't put his hand down yet.
So Robin Bartosh, I live in Bear Lane, it's like. I mean, it's bad enough living on the lake with all the people that recreate around there, my dogs bark, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot, it is a lot of people, and to put a recreation center, behind this guy's house and her house. I mean, we have an old, ski resort, and we have a great place, that already has a basketball court. We already have a great place to recreate, just put a porta potty out there, whatever. But don't, that would be an awful place, for the neighbors. It's like, I would disagree with Daryl on that one. There's a reason why that's Greenbelt, and I just want us to respect those reasons why. It would be a very hard place to build anything. Let's, if we're gonna put money into, I mean, we've got a great basketball thing, whatever, it's, we got it right here already. Old ski resort, let's put some money into redoing that. It's like, but I just would not want that in my front yard. That's a lot. It's already a lot of people.
And,
around the lake.
and I can speak to why those properties were designated greenbelt. In our service plan, it said the district will have approximately 210 acres of greenbelt space. That was part of the reason why we also designated that 160 acres to be greenbelt space. Which, I don't remember the exact number, but there's something like 246 or something like that. Total acres of greenbelt.
Which is the first time we've ever met the standard, by the way.
249 acres.
49.
And it's fabulous, especially after the fire last summer. That was terrifying. You know, how quickly that could have come down. And I mean, y'all have done a beautiful job, you know, fire mitigating that whole area there. I mean, it's fabulous. And that makes me feel better to live where we do, especially with the climate like it is right now. So I appreciate the green belt a lot.
One more, Carrie Newman, 753 Forest Lakes. I do not believe that there is any place within Forest Lakes where people will not attempt to build.
And isn't that, like, I wasn't here, is that not where there was a motel there? Way back when?
I believe
People had built that.
I believe it was a 6-bedroom ski lodge or something.
There's a restaurant, ski lodge, pool.
Yeah, so it's been built on before. Like, yeah.
Mark, coming at it from a slightly different angle, and I've mentioned this before as well. One option that hasn't been presented is the possibility of a land swap for a place for another tank up at the top of the mountain or something of that nature. Would the board be willing to consider something like that? What would be the capital implications of something of that nature? We don't have enough, we don't own anything at the top of the mountain right now that we can add an additional tank onto, which our master plan calls for, so we would potentially have to buy property up there anyway. So you're suggesting that somehow we work out a deal with someone to place more infrastructure up where it belongs and work out a deal where in return they get this property or potential exchange sale. It's a third option. Sorry for adding a third option.
Is there land up there that you're
Private lots up there,
that you're referring to?
particularly around Pine Ridge Tank.
And I think if we wanted to try to do that with the forest property, or I think the other two, I'm guessing we wouldn't think that valuable of property FI, at least from what I've seen them selling for. I could be wrong, it seemed, but yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea to, as like, I don't know if we can do a secondary earmark of fixed dam and that.
How high up are we talking? I know there's a lot of vacant property on timber. If you look at the top right of that map, you see a blue dot right there.
Yeah.
That's our tank. That's one of our tanks. There's not much room on that particular spot for the second tank. It's very steep and kind of has a gully in it. There is a property just to the east of it, which would be to your right. That would be desirable. So the tank is on 36, are you talking about literally 37? Yeah, whatever the number is on there. There's 36 and 37 side by side. And slightly bigger lot, 37. Access would be dramatically better.
That's adding a second tank? Or
Yeah.
a new tank?
A new second tank.
New tank, so you have.
Yes to all, yes. It's called out in our master plan. And an infrastructure. Enhancement, I guess.
Okay.
You're going to be considered. Would it make sense to think of it more as a straight up deal, approaching the neighbor on 37 with an offer to buy, selling these on the market. And part of the earmark might include purchasing land up there. I don't know what the value of 37 is. Does it have views that?
Yes, it does.
Is it like an acre or?
It's a fair sized lot, yes. That would be a cleaner way to do it, what you described, though. If there were, it may be that that person's not willing. Somehow or another, we're gonna squeeze a second tank in there. It's not.
Well, are there any other resident comments? Before we move on? No, any in here? No? Any more board member comments? Questions?
I just point out our goal is mandate. So appointed was come to this meeting ready to make a decision.
Yeah.
To sell, not sell, or delay. And I think that's pretty clear. I'm in favor of selling. So that would be my last comment.
Well, this is Julie. I would like to make a motion to sell the properties that we are discussing, which is 182, 188, and 510 Alpine Forest. We could also look into what Mark was saying, see, just, you know, as an exploratory type of thing. But I make a motion to sell the district's property located at 510 Alpine Forest, 182 Little Bear Drive, 188 Little Bear Drive. And if the decision is made, we can't choose a realtor tonight, but I think what we need to do is put it out there that we're looking for a realtor and have real estate realtors, you know, put in kind of like a bid or intent that they would like to potentially be the realtor for Forest Lake.
I'd like to offer a friendly amendment, and that is to include some language about earmarking the proceeds. And the list would include the care of the dam, or the drain on the dam, possibility of recreation infrastructure, which is something that Corey mentioned, and Mark's suggestion that some of the funds be used to set aside cash to acquire property for a second tank at the top of the hill. That's fairly crudely stated, but I think that ought to be part of the motion.
Yeah. Okay, I'll say it again then. Make a motion to sell, this is Julie, I make a motion to sell the district property at 510 Alpine Forest Drive, 182 Little Bear Drive, 188 Little Bear Drive, with the intent for infrastructure of the dam, potentially some funds for the community center, and potentially, however we all decide, funds if there is land available to put another tank up there by the other tank. But that would have to be explored, so.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Stephanie?
No, I'm not in favor.
Okay, we just need your no then. Michael?
You said all those in favor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Those opposed.
Sorry. All those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, Michael and Stephanie are opposed, Jim, Lynn, and Julie are aye. That is, lost my words. Approved, thank you, to sell the property, so Corey. However you deem that we need to ask for realtors.
I will get 3 or 4 and reach out to the board for an executive session to review their proposals and what their rates are, whether it's 6%, 3%.
Yeah. And I did send you 3 realtors the first time when we were supposed to come with realtors, so one of them is all around realtor and then the others are just, I don't know any of them. I just gave you realtors. And then Steve would probably want to put your name in. Yeah. And anybody else?
One, the author who I've worked with. But not from the neighborhood.
Yeah. Okay,
Can I ask what happens with the motion that was approved 5-0 to investigate requirements and cost of placing this on a future ballot? It was voted on and approved unanimously.
I mean,
it was,
did we look into it, I guess, and what the cost would be? I don't.
So that wasn't,
it wasn't a motion, it was to hire an appraiser to determine the appraised value of lots individually and combined with the 2 adjoining lots to be completed by the next board meeting and investigate the requirements and cost of placing them on a future ballot. We didn't approve to put it on the ballot.
and we haven't investigated either. And it was approved.
I dropped the ball.
Without correction. So like this motion didn't have any instruction to, I don't know the right word, to correct that, to rescind that, I think. Rescind would be the right word, to rescind that portion of the motion.
I say we amend the motion to,
We just voted on the new motion though.
But there is a process we can. Little poker face.
I think we can also make a new motion to overturn that past motion, just straightforward. The portion of the motion that requires we go through the process of attempting to figure out how to put it on the ballot.
Okay. Sean, I thought I talked with you and Corey about, I thought you guys did look into it briefly, but maybe I'm misremembering.
I think we were talking about the
Was that for you?
forming the unit 3.
Oh, sure, okay, sorry, I got those mixed up.
So you can appeal it or call point of order and appeal it based on a previous motion that was made after asked for to investigate it. I dropped the ball, it was not investigated. So you can amend the motion to order. Or withdraw that motion entirely and that's discretion of the president. And make a motion for me to investigate what it's gonna be on the ballot, as well as approaching realtors to get essentially bids to sell our property.
So what were the options?
Um,
So we can either amend the motion or
You can amend the motion to.
the new one or the one from last month?
Well, this one,
Okay,
because Michael brings up a valid point that I dropped the ball on.
Well, that's not quite true. I know you and I had discussions directly between us about the viability of doing some sort of an election and the complexity and expense. And so on. We discussed it. I don't know if you discussed it with anybody else.
No.
Okay.
I'm not. But you can amend the motion that was just made and voted on to the appeal process and add, change it to have me investigate what it's gonna take to get it on a ballot, if it needs to go to a ballot, or if we can do it via Survey Monkey or something. And still approach realtors with the potential of selling these lots.
So,
Nothing other than that prior motion binds us to a ballot.
right,
It might bind us to investigating a ballot.
That's fun.
Right, so.
Which you could still theoretically do, I guess.
if one,
Yeah. I don't. What's the, like, I get where you're coming from, Michael, I'm trying to understand. What the functionality is.
Public engagement and public approval for the sale of property.
That's the argument to do a public ballot. What's the argument for us to continue to follow through with the motion from last month? Versus heading qualifier out of invalidating that, I guess. I think that was the second option, correct?
I didn't hear that last part.
This was not the second you presented two things, correct? And the second one was we could add in a amendment to it to basically say we don't need to do that, correct? We can either say you need to continue and we'll proceed with setting up realtors, or we can invalidate it.
Well,
Because you said
no,
discretion on the
there's-
president.
You would have to vote to, or, sorry, appeal the last motion that was made. Question it, discuss it. Let me, I'll read it verbatim. Instead of trying to characterize this. Oops, I went too far. An appeal takes precedence over any question pending at the time the chair makes a ruling from which the appeal is made. It yields to all privileged motions, provided that they are in order at the time according to the order of precedence of motions. And it yields to incidental motions arising out of itself if it is debatable. See standard characteristic 5 below. It also yields to the subsidiary motions to limit or extend limits of debate. And for the previous question, it yields to the motion to commit, to postpone definitely, and to lay on the table, provided that they are in order at the time according to the order of the precedence of motions. If it is undebatable and adheres to pending questions, it does not yield to any subsidiary motion except to lay on the table. And if it is undebatable, it does not adhere to pending questions, it yields to no subsidiary motion. Can be applied to any ruling by the proceeding officer except that if a point of order is raised while an appeal is pending, there is no appeal from the chair's decision on this point of order. When the chair rules on the question about which there cannot possibly be two reasonable opinions, an appeal would be I can't say that word, dilatory. dilatory, and is not allowed.
It's simplified. The last sentence in that first paragraph basically lays it out. Julie wants to read it, and she.
A motion to amend something previously adopted in the parliamentary procedure used under Robert's Rule of Order. To change, alter, or partially substitute a motion, resolution, rule, or policy that the group passed in the past. It allows an assembly to modify a previous decision without completely canceling the entire decision. A second is required. It must be seconded by another member. Debatable, yes. The merits and proposed change can be discussed. Blah, blah, blah. The vote needed depends on whether advance notice was given to the members. That's previous action has already been carried out and it's completely impossible to undo. Yeah, I'm not. This is a little tricky here.
I mean, it looks from the way it sounds, is that according to Robert's Rules of Order, that a motion to amend something previously adopted is what we're discussing, can occur, and that it allows the assembly to modify the previous decision, last month's decision, without completely canceling the entire action.
Or the motion that was just made.
So it doesn't, I mean,
I make such a motion. I make a motion to amend the prior. Was it, it wasn't.
Motion made by Julie.
Okay, so one clarification, this is ChatGPT to be fair, but it has a distinction under Robert's rules. The second motion is arguably inconsistent with the purpose of the first motion because the board is deciding to sell before completing the investigation if previously authorized. Under Robert's rules is an important distinction. The motion directing staff to perform an investigation isn't necessarily continuing prohibition on taking other action. So the chair doesn't need to automatically be required the rule of the same motion. Out of order. So basically what we can still investigate, and if that if yeah,
I interpret that as the motion we just made can stand without amending the prior motion, but perhaps it would be wise to amend the prior motion to exclude the mandate to investigate ballot measures and so on.
That's what it says here. If something's already in motion, you must either wait for it to be disposed of or use a motion of higher precedence to interrupt it. This ensures orderly progression of business and prevents confusion over multiple competing motions.
It wasn't a resolution that we made where we adopted a motion at the last meeting. And if need be, I will pose a motion now to amend that prior motion to exclude all mandates to the board to conduct investigation for ballot measure or any other thing that would delay our ability to move forward with what we just adopted.
I second that motion based on what this says here, that the other motion proceed is taking over that. I see no need for Cory to waste his time trying to figure out how much it's gonna cost to go to a vote. We already know it's very expensive and costly.
In public education, to achieve a reasonable unbiased response from a wide enough area of the community would also add a massive amount of expense. Most people are clueless on this, and it would take a massive effort to educate them on something where this affects a very small corner of the community. But that said, my motion stands to amend that prior motion and exclude any references. And they probably ought to be written out from the prior motion. You know, exclude that portion because it's superfluous.
Which would, on my second my second motion would be to, exclude the investigation of requirements and cost of placing the matter on a future ballot. I don't think that it is in the best interest of Forest Lakes to have Corey spend the amount of time looking into that, putting out, you know how much votes cost when we have to do a board vote. Ballpark.
I know in postage alone, it was like $1,500. With the ballot measure, there would be lots of costs involved. We have to educate, we have to send out pamphlets prior to all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, then it goes to the county, we have to have county involved.
I've never personally done it. I just know from trainings and things that there are you have to follow a very specific order, all of those sorts of things. I think that we would have a bigger turnout of vote if we coordinated with the county. We know that there's about 250 people inside of Forest Lakes who vote on a regular basis. So a coordinated election would be the way to go. More people are gonna see it if it's on a county ballot rather than just our in-house ballot. And that's costly. I mean, what Tiffany ballpark was like $18,000 to $20,000 or something like that, right? When we talked to her before.
Yeah,
It was something like that. So,
I think it was more around about 15,000 more.
yeah.
It's still an egregious amount of money.
So,
Okay, so to make this completely clear,
for the sake of both sides, maybe some middle ground that the board can agree on. I can put together a survey on SurveyMonkey and just send out a quick survey while still moving forward with getting potential realtors and all that. And then you would have the voice of the public. Does that make sense?
Yeah, how are we gonna frame and educate?
that's,
Yeah,
that's just throwing it out there when we've been discussing this already now for 5 months.
yeah.
That should have been.
Like I'm very pro going to people and asking questions on things. I don't know that this fits with that, to be honest. Yeah.
And who among the residents are actual stakeholders in this decision?
Well, they all are.
But yes and no. I mean, somebody up on Blue Ridge is, you know, I don't even know what you're talking about. It's difficult to raise awareness at that level for somebody to make an informed decision when there's no prior communication except via these meetings.
I've
Yeah,
heard from every board member sitting at this table that the previous boards and other board members push things down the road, and that's exactly what's trying to happen here. And I don't agree with it. And we made a motion to approve this. We can put within that motion to not move forward with the other gathering of requirements.
Or Corey can go gather the requirements and fulfill that motion. And if it is demonstrably different, we can always amend this one. But is that something you can do by the time we have the executive session? We know the rough ballpark figure already is 15,000-ish.
It depends on how fast we have an executive session.
Yeah.
It was 15,000 for,
That was
to be
for,
on the county ballot. What about the
that was for,
education and stuff?
yeah, 15,000 was for the county to run put the potential recall election. That was proposed. It would definitely be the same, but
Which would be the same, because it has to go to the county recorder, they have to get people that count everything, I mean, it's a whole huge. I have it somewhere written down, everything that they told us, they sent it to you because I had asked. And it was very expensive.
And that's right, I don't see these as directly. And yeah, we can meet that requirement. It's spending showing Corey's time, but I think that was why I was asking what the intention was of bringing it up, especially after the motion was already set, when we made multiple addendums on the motion. Why didn't you speak up? And then Michael, I'll be honest, it seems like
Speak up.
you spoke up before, but not when we were adding, talking through that.
I brought it up prior.
I know.
My.
It seems like a delay tactic.
It was disregarded then. I brought it up prior. There was a motion, there was a second, and there was a vote.
No, we talked it through for 5 minutes. Like that's,
I brought it up prior.
okay, but I'm telling you what it appears to me as, I guess. Cause I don't,
So based on what we've read, I'm gonna move forward with the approval to move forward with the 2 motions. Because based on what we just read on Robert's rule, that this motion supersedes the other motion, which they're kind of really not related. They are related to the real estate transactions. And if you guys want Corey to spend his time looking at how much it's gonna cost, that would be fine, but I don't think it's gonna change the end result.
Shauna, do you think those motions can be still distilled into English, considering how convoluted everything has been?
I think so.
Okay, let's move on then to,
need to vote.
we did vote.
We did not vote on the amendment. It's made,
Oh, the amendment?
it's to the previous one. And
Yeah.
this is a new motion. It's not changing, right?
it's a new motion.
Yeah, so this is we approved the motion, now we're making a motion to undo it. If it fails, then Corey needs to come and complete it. Right? Yeah,
So.
so you made the motion.
Go ahead and make the motion
I think I did.
Yeah, you did.
for the amendment.
I made a motion to
Right,
amend the.
so that's what I'm moving
Yeah.
forward with.
Did you, who seconded?
I seconded it,
Okay,
yeah.
So we need a vote.
Yeah.
I'll.
Okay,
vote in
so
favor.
with that second motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye. All those opposed?
Opposed.
Michael and Stephanie are opposed. Okay,
Does that pass?
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't need a
Um,
higher majority.
That is the majority.
Okay.
So I'm not investigating the ballot measure, right? So I understand this, right? And I'm just moving forward with looking at, okay.
really,
yes. New business discussion for board action, the unit Huff funds.
Yeah, so, amongst some other rocks that I've been uncovering, we are indeed not receiving HUF funds for Unit 5. There's some pros and cons to whether or not we want to press the matter and get Unit 5 roads onto our HUF report. Because currently, right now, as Unit 5 roads are dedicated, they're dedicated to Forest Lakes Metropolitan District for private use of its residents. So, and by that, that's all Forest Lakes is allowed to use that road. But outsiders shouldn't be using it.
Yeah.
In order for us to do that, we would have to dedicate Unit 5 roads to public to receive some funds. Based off the math that I've been doing, we would get an extra $4,100
A year.
No, so that number fluctuates. So they have the state gets 2.5 million or whatever they get. They divvy that out between the counties, and then each county has a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 road system, or a tier 3. So after tier 1 and tier 2, with their formula that they get, we get what essentially is the remaining. I'm not sure the county is entirely accurate with the numbers we should be getting, because the director of finance said we should only receive $67,000 this year. We just got the check for 77,000. So
It's in the ballpark.
it's in the ballpark.
Yeah, it's $4,000 to $5,000 for the year.
It's a little extra revenue. It's not gonna make or break the bank by no means.
But
It also means enforcement though, that we can.
That is a pro. We would get actual law enforcement could actually issue tickets on that road, because as it stands right now, law enforcement cannot.
And that, for the sake of everyone who doesn't know what Unit 5 is, that is West Forest Lakes Road, Mesa,
Snowbird.
and Snowbird, and there are a couple others up there. But this is Unit 5 for everyone here. That's Mesa. I can't remember the name of this one, but you see it's a fairly short group of roads. But right now, police can't do anything on those roads. Police are not allowed to do traffic enforcement or anything like that.
So, currently right now, we receive HUF funds for 20.69 miles in units 1, 2, and 4.
But just under 21 miles.
Just under 21 miles.
And we still have to maintain those roads as Forest Lakes roads right now.
Yes, because they're dedicated to
So
us.
that doesn't change anything. Public or private.
No, that wouldn't change.
So what it does do is if we do go the route of making them public, it gives us a little bit more money to be maintaining the roads.
Approximately $4,100.
Right, a year.
And it costs more than $4,100 a year to do those roads.
Well, no, but it's more fun than our funds.
The HUF funds are meant to subsidize road maintenance. The HUF funds, the highway user tax one, is not meant to be the overall funding source of it. It's meant to help subsidize.
Right, I understand that.
Yeah.
Is there any reason not to dedicate them? That
How much work is it gonna be?
That I have a phone call into the county to figure out the process of doing this, so I don't have an answer for that quite yet.
good, fair.
Because I know the board will have to adopt a resolution dedicating them to the public, and then it's still got to go through the county and amend the plat language and all that. So I don't have all that information together. This is really just does the board want me to move forward with seeing what it's gonna take to do this? What it's gonna cost, because there will be some costs associated with amending the plat and all that stuff.
I will say over the course of, a very short future, 10 years, we're talking 40 grand, roughly. It's not chump change anymore to have 40 grand, knowing that every month I'm signing checks. I think it's for $6,500 plus or minus per load of this liquid we put on the roads. Is gonna pay for a big chunk of it? No, but it's, 40K over a decade. It starts to sound like real money.
Absolutely. And then,
Yes,
I
sir.
would be in favor for doing this.
So there's not a reluctance on your part because it presents an overwhelming administrative burden or something of that.
No, there's not a reluctance on that. What my only reluctance is, and it's already happening, is the potential of more traffic flow going through that unit, taking that shortcut.
Why would that change anything?
Because, so like, earlier, I submitted a request to all like the GPS companies, whatever, to, this isn't a through road for public use. And for a while there it was changed, but I checked it the other day and it's reverted back.
Right.
So when people type in an address on Deer Ridge, it's gonna direct them to go the shortest route, which is through Unit 5.
I don't think you're prohibited from continuing to ask them to redirect traffic because of suitability of the route. There were days, MapQuest days, when I got taken off an interstate highway and put into a neighborhood, and clearly it's a public street. And those things get fixed because it might be a 1/10 of a mile shorter, but it's still not a reasonable route. So I think I don't think you'll lose the power to contact Google Maps and tell them, this is the way to go, not that way.
And they may
By
have
the
a
way, you've
policy
done the
that
open
they
work on that. The difference in especially heavy truck traffic is immense.
They may have a policy too, that they just change it every 6 months, because that's about how long it's been, so. Who knows?
So far down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I'm for you doing that.
Do we need a motion
No,
to proceed?
Just discussion.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly support doing this. It's
Probably open it up for public comment.
Anybody sitting here? Yes, Carrie?
Carrie Newman, 753 Forest Lakes Drive. So last fall, I spoke with Matt Salka, our county commissioner, and he sent me a copy of the intergovernmental agreement, which specified that signed in 1990 that Forest Lakes roads in units 1, 2, and 4 were going to be dedicated as public roads. It did not say anything about unit 5. He also sent me the spreadsheet, which listed all of the roads that are incorporated into that intergovernmental agreement, their length, their width, and that's where you come up with the 29 miles. I looked at that and I said, well, there's no roads in unit 5 on this. And I mentioned that to him. I said, by the intergovernmental agreement and the list of roads, it doesn't appear that unit 5 are public roads and therefore they're private. He hemmed and hawed about that. Gave me some other reasons why they could be dedicated as public roads, but I was stunned at the last meeting, Corey, when you said, in addition to unit 3, that unit 5 are still public roads. So somehow that private, somehow the county figured out that I was right. So that got me to thinking, okay, well, if unit 5 is private, and we get enough people in unit 5 together to vote on putting gates at the Unit 5 boundary, we could legally do that. And that would solve the traffic problem in Unit 5, which nobody in this room cares about, except for a few people. That would increase our property values. But we would not get $4,500 or whatever it is to do maintenance on those. So my question is, of all of them, the dollars annually that go to road maintenance, of which the largest proportion come from Metro District fees, and another $4,500 would come from HUTF funds, what would that proportion be? 10%, 5%, whatever. That's not to say that I am not in favor of dedicating Unit 5 to public use. I don't think it's going to be an immense increase in traffic, because the traffic is still bad anyways. A little bit more ain't going to make it that much worse.
So I'm gonna touch on the gate thing. You couldn't do the gate without involving all 4 states, because how the patent language is written. So
It's just a thought. It's just.
Forest Lakes Durango 5 does hereby dedicate and convey to Forest Lakes Metropolitan District for the private use and benefit of the owners of lots within this subdivision forever hereafter. So it's not just dedicated to Unit 5, it's dedicated to all of Forest Lakes.
Except for non-Forest Lakes residents.
Except for non-Forest Lakes.
Right. The majority of the traffic that drives in Unit 5 are Forest Lakes residents. So, not gonna make a difference. I'm in favor of this motion. It would give the sheriff's department authority to enforce traffic laws in Unit 5, even though they won't do it. Or they don't have the capacity to do it. The issue goes way beyond public use. It goes way beyond law enforcement, available law enforcement, and it's a much bigger issue that needs to be addressed at a later time. Going back to why it happened in the first place, and probably the reason it happened in the first place was because it wasn't incorporated into the intergovernmental agreement.
Oh, absolutely, and the roads weren't completed at the time.
Right.
The agreement was done.
Yeah, and so they just opened it up and said, come on down.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else online? No? Nobody else in here? Okay, moving on to Unit 3 roads, Corey.
Okay, so amongst, looking at the highway user tax fund and some other things, it's also been discovered that Unit 3 roads are classified as private access. They're not deeded to the district in any way, shape, or form, or dedicated to use for Forest Lakes residents. It's strictly private access roads for those property owners to get up there and access their properties. I'm working with legal to figure out what we can do to rectify the situation, but seems like the ball was dropped way back in the day when Southwest Properties kind of disappeared. And they named the POA their successor. And then when the POA went defunct, they named us the successor for the mill stop, trash, and all that, but nothing with Unit 3. The only thing we have legal rights to are the easements in Unit 3. So I can't not allow property owners to start fixing the roads up there and making them passable, which is kind of going to make it a double-edged sword. It's going to make it easier for law enforcement to get back there and address, or emergency service to address issues back there, but it's also going to make it easier for squatters and illegal stuff to be happening back there. As soon as I get some more guidance from our legal counsel on what we can do if all the property owners have to agree to dedicate the roads to the district, we proceed that route, or if there's some legalese that he can dig up that will say they've been ours. We can change the plat, but I don't know what that looks like right now. This is very concerning that that's one of the things that's fell through the cracks. And it needs to be fixed, and it just, Paul's digging into it to figure out what we can do. I got Paul's into the county to figure out what the step is to get this done, because when Southwest Properties and the POA defunct, we should have been named the successor for the roads, and that just didn't happen. And I don't know that it can happen from either one of those organizations, because they don't necessarily exist.
Yeah.
Is this just an information for us or?
Yeah, this is just information.
Okay. And my only comment, it's another thing. And I feel like that respect past decisions without understanding the decisions, because there's no notes on the decisions, it's always thrown out. And then we encounter these decisions or lack thereof. So that's my only thought, like, we keep exploring it and
And right now,
see
you
how
can't,
we can fix it.
we don't have any way to stop anybody from working on the roads and stuff up there.
No, we do not.
Yeah.
Yep, they're doing it right now as we speak.
Yes, they are.
Oh, once they heard they started moving.
Oh, big time.
Is there any discussion with him as far as plat and actually ensuring any improvements go where they're supposed to and not across somebody's property? Or, I mean, is there anything we can do about ensuring that?
So when they first approached about fixing the roads, I'm like, no, first and foremost, we need to get a survey, because there are portions of that road that are not where they're supposed to be. When I drove it Monday or Thursday, there are survey markers out there. Whether or not the survey actually happened, I do not know.
So if the company altering the road right now cuts across another property,
It would be
the action would be between that property owner and the person touching the road.
Yes.
Would that go back to that 20-year thing that you said, if the property owner doesn't do anything about it, that the
Prescriptive right?
encroachment and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Is there, so we were debating sending a survey out, to Unit 3. Is there any value in trying to alert them of this, the property owners? And adding this as a, if you,
Whether work's being done, the property owner owns
Yeah.
every last lot.
okay,
So they're not
So
doing.
where the concerns are, I don't believe they're doing road improvements, so in that section, I believe they're just doing it where.
where their
Where they,
properties are.
their property, yeah.
I do think that needs to become a contingency of, if we don't have the public roads, we can't install the water and sewer, is the unfortunate reality. Like, so it would need to be deeded, or we can't support that, would be my view. That's only mine, but
Yeah, well, we do have the dedicated easement for utilities. For public utilities.
but if.
The easements were granted. Specifically called out in the plat,
Yeah,
but it doesn't dedicate the road to us.
but we don't have a road to go and work on stuff or to or from. There's a private road there, but it's not. Like, we don't go onto private property and do stuff unless, I mean, I guess if we sometimes do, so I guess that.
If we have an easement,
Yeah, okay.
which we have an easement, we just don't have. The roads.
I imagine you've done this already. I'll just say, I assume you are speaking with council about the district's exposure in this situation, both with the county and with all those property owners. Our exposure and where that exposure might be. You know, where are the cracks and anything, because this, you know, the county presented to us months ago saying there's some need to move forward with our responsibility to build roads, for example, and now we've learned that we can't. So, you know, that I don't want to belabor the point. I'm imagining you've been digging into this very deeply.
And to that point, I actually had a meeting earlier today with a resident of Unit 3. And they're doing the road in the efforts to help the process along with getting infrastructure up there, i.e. water and whatnot. Whether it's, we can get the county to allow Unit 3 to install cisterns. And we, somewhere in the middle of this, we can put a tank up there for strictly firefighting purposes. This property owner up there did offer a lot for a water tank. So there's much more discussion to be had on this before anything can really be done. It's just needed to be brought to the board's attention.
Well, this has evolved a lot since Selka came here and spoke to the board. Is my observation, am I correct?
I'm sorry?
When Selka came and talked to the board, he presented something pretty different from what exists now as we discovered the failure to hand off the right for the roads in Unit 3.
I'll wait for you with that.
Yeah, okay.
Well, if a resident is willing to do that, is there any way to get a meeting with all the residents via Zoom, because most of them probably don't live here, we had talked about this once before in board meeting, I think, having all the residents come to a meeting.
And I only have 5 email addresses, and this property owner has been working on getting contact information for quite some time, it sounded like, and she's gonna share that with me. So potentially, but as of right now, I have mailing addresses for everybody and 5 email addresses.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions from the board for Corey?
No.
So
Anybody?
sorry.
Go ahead.
So as of right now, the county is in charge of infrastructure, future infrastructure up there.
No,
Okay.
no, we're responsible for
Not,
water.
I shouldn't have said infrastructure. Land improvements.
Not to my knowledge, because it's considered private access.
But are you talking like planning?
Like
I'm
permits and
talking
stuff.
about building houses up there.
Yeah.
Residential.
All the, so even down here, all that goes through the county building department. We have nothing to do with
Yeah.
what the building, what gets approved. So the one thing that we'll have to do is a letter saying that we don't oppose them having a septic tank and a temporary cistern until utilities are ran within 400 feet, then they must be required to hook to our services.
But that's on county. We just will step in and advise, like, your opinion on that property? Is that what you just said?
So I think what you're asking is, does this get us off the hook for infrastructure and still developing Unit 3? Is that what you're asking?
Individual
essentially?
property infrastructure.
So
So
per our service plan, we still have to service them with our infrastructure. The only thing this changes is the roads
Maintenance.
aren't ours.
Okay.
We still have easement, those plats dedicated easement to public utility.
Okay.
But yeah, we're still required to get water and sewer up there.
Yes.
It's just not financially feasible in our current state.
Okay.
And we no longer have access.
Well, we have access to our easement.
Mhm.
We just don't have the authority to tell somebody, don't mess with this road.
All we have is
They-
utility access easement. That's it.
This is basically just talking about the road.
Just the road.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to, okay, that clears up.
Anything else from the board? No? Anybody in the room?
Can we go backwards? Robin 90 Little Bear Lane, since you guys decided to sell the properties, can you please let the two people that are invested backed out to those properties have first dibs and don't sell it to the highest bidder? You know, it's like, it's just, I mean, please consider that, you know, that in Kessler, West Coast, please have first rights to that, because it'll change the dynamics of Little Bear and Little Bear Drive.
Thank you. Anybody online regarding unit 3 roads?
I don't see
No hand.
No.
raises.
Okay, we're gonna move on to moving the September meeting date.
So both Daryl and I will be at the annual SDA conference. And they're having a networking event that's happening at the time of our board meeting. So I would like to push it back to the following week, if that's okay with the board.
I'm okay with it.
So you.
How does that line up with the strategic planning?
That would be that, right?
So we'll have a board meeting on Tuesday, and then the board retreat for the strategic plan would be that Friday.
Okay.
That's okay.
Board meeting September 22nd, strategic plan meeting, training on Friday the 25th. Correct?
Yes.
All right, I can deal with that as well.
And you guys all got my email on that, right? We had to reschedule the retreat because she got double booked.
To the 25th or from the 25th?
Or from the original retreat date to the 25th.
Yeah, it's the 18th.
You know, you
I can't commit to the 22nd, but I can try.
Michael,
25th?
22nd for
Twice
the
at the board meeting.
Yeah,
25th for the training.
should be fine.
Okay. I make a motion to move the September 15th Board of Directors meeting to September 22nd. This is Julie.
This is Lionel second.
All those in favor?
All right,
Aye, it's unanimous. We're gonna move on to Road Safety Committee. Just a quick update on what we've all discussed. We have put to the table any kind of, my mind is blank.
Petition?
Yeah, petition out there for law enforcement because of what we would have to do that, and we don't want any confrontations with people. We would have to go to the trash, we'd have to go to the mailbox, we'd have to be all over the place trying to get people to sign petitions. And it would have to be submitted and everybody's addresses and signatures verified, all that stuff, so that's just not good. We decided that we would try and do a newsletter. And Charissa talked to Shauna about it and how much it would cost. And it would be approximately $564.22, and that's tagging on to your water bills and
Yes.
stuffing them all in the same envelope.
Yes.
So, I know you got the motion here, Corey, for the 562, but is that including what the district would already be paying?
Yes, so we already pay 49 cents a postcard.
Mhm.
So we've already allotted that money and budgeted that money for the monthly billing, the 49 cents per post. This would mean if we stuff an envelope, our indicia only covers the postcard mailing. Nothing can be stapled to it, nothing can be included in it, just the postcard mailing. So what Carissa and I talked about was we would come up with a mailing this size. We would use these envelopes that the district has already purchased that we're no longer using anymore. So we would have to stamp these envelopes. But the difference of that would be the 20 or so cents from the 49 cents to a regular postage stamp.
Okay.
So yes, that 49 cents has already been budgeted.
Okay. And we'd also talked about tagging along with you, getting messages out on how to subscribe at in the same envelopes and all that stuff.
Yes.
Same with online, doing it kind of that way too.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what this, what this is.
Julie, can I just add something, please? Hi,
Sure.
it's Carissa. I'm on the Road Safety Committee. We're thinking about our first initial message to get out to all residents in hand. That's why we're thinking of this mailing. And then on that, on the both sides of a postcard size piece of paper, cardstock, we would let them know about the website and social media presence, helping them to subscribe to paperless, warning them about speed bumps coming, simple rules of the road, and how speeding tears up the road and our potential speed readers. And then, like Julie and Shauna said, and then we would piggyback with the district's social media push that they're going to start in September, October. So it's not just about road safety. It has a little bit of message about what else the district is doing.
Yeah.
So
And
all staff has been talking about revising a newsletter. If you remember, especially some of you that have been around for years and years, the district used to do a quarterly newsletter. That is quite expensive because it was mailed out. It was a direct mailer. We do have other avenues now to get those sorts of things out. So what we've kind of been talking about here in the office is I think a newsletter is needed. I think we move it towards a more digital format. I know that leaves some people hanging to dry, but what we kind of talked about is we would keep printed copies here in the office for those few people who just aren't in the digital world.
And put one up at the mailboxes.
Yes, ma'am. Things like that. What we had kind of envisioned here is we would build a newsletter. So at the beginning of the month, we would do it 1 week at a time. We would put out a little blurb. We talked about a staff corner. Every month we would introduce a different staff member with a headshot so people are familiar with our faces. I think people know me, Corey, and Barb here that come into the office. I don't think a lot of people know what the other FLMD staff looks like. I think that would be helpful. We talked about a did you know sort of section, just basic rules. But each week we would introduce a new topic. We would push it on our website notifications and on our social media page. And then at the end of the month, we would have a complete full page newsletter that lived on the website until the following month as we start building a newsletter. We want to do little quick short videos of how to read your bill, what it looks like to change a water meter, what you can look at for leaks, things like that. That you would scan the QR code that we send you and then it would pop our video up. So I think y'all's idea of doing a direct mailer to kind of kick that off, and then you guys could have a corner of that letter every month. Even if that's 1 week, it's just dedicated to rules of the road and the road safety committee. That gets y'all's message out there. That helps the district. That's one less week a month that Barb and I have to come up with something to put in a newsletter. So I'm willing to do that. I think it's a good idea. Like I said, I think that there are going to be some people who just aren't willing to do it digitally, but we also can't budget, $1,200 a month for a newsletter that may or may not be read and tossed in the trash.
Yeah.
So I can get on board with one direct mailer, but I think after that we have to think digital.
Yeah, for sure.
Just to save the district's money.
Yeah. And I think getting that out there is gonna get more people to subscribe.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah. Okay.
I have one thing to add for the road committee. So we had talked about the speed radar signs, speed limit signs, your speed limit signs, similar to the ones that we have on Forest Lakes Drive. We just purchased 4 of those, so we'll be putting those out very, very soon, waiting on locates, and then they'll be put out.
That's hilarious. Locates.
So 4 of your 23 this evening were Daryl. Is that what you think up to?
Actually, you got about 8 more coming from me. So
All right. And we so appreciate your the value that you have on the road committee, Daryl. Very much.
thank you.
I'll add that public engagement is probably the biggest challenge that we have right
Yeah.
for Lakes. If we
For
can
sure.
move in that direction any way that we can.
Yeah. The bugs flying around, huh? Okay, well, I'm gonna make a motion.
Can we talk about?
No, yeah, do you have anything to say?
I think you're gonna get less engagement from a mailer, I'll be honest. I think that a regular posting on the Forest Lakes Facebook page and people then linking that to the other variety of Facebook or next door pages. Yeah, like it's $600. It's not much money to be realistic. But I just don't. Maybe I'm a millennial and
Yes,
I throw those things away instantly. I view them as they're a waste of trash or bad for the environment. I'm not very supportive of doing mailers. I think the better way to engage people is online. And so why would we spend money to do the lesser?
But how do we know how many people are engaging online?
We don't. How do we know how many people are reading a newsletter? It's mailed to them. We don't.
Well,
I would throw it away.
and I guess I'll engage here as a member of the road committee, not as public comment, but judging by the number of people who are members of the Neighborly Forest Lakes group, as opposed to the subdivision at large, there's probably a lot of people out that don't even know it exists. So maybe this is a way to get more people engaged there. Get them engaged with the Forest Lakes Metro District group. And then point them to other resources that we have yet to come up with. What's the other one on the web?
Next door.
Next door, yeah.
Yes.
But then we'd have to have a presence there too.
Yeah.
Which we don't.
Am I correct that we're talking about, this is 2 different things. One is the piggybacking on the bill mailer to add a flip side in an envelope with additional messaging on several subjects. And then we're talking about a separate experimental paper newsletter one time.
So the road committee is asking for funds for a direct mailer to piggyback on the monthly bill.
One time.
A one time, yes. And then from here on out, they would have some space on our digital newsletter.
It's to try and direct people to Forest Lake's webpage, to try and direct people to, we were gonna set up a Facebook page and it has to be tied to somebody's personal. We don't wanna do that. So we could drive them to Forest Lake, we could drive them to next door. You know, but it would be a one-time mailer, just like Shauna's not getting very many subscriptions, you know. Mailing it out might get more because the people that are on Forest Lakes or social media are just expecting everything to go through there. So
But
there's
just wanted to clarify that we were talking about, you know, your normal regular bill
yes.
with now a backside that says all this other stuff. And maybe the envelope, I'll say your bill's enclosed, so they open it.
Yes. Yeah.
I guess I need to. Those that have elected for paperless, can we still print them on our cardstock
Yes, we,
and not mess up the paperless?
yes.
I get both sometimes.
Anybody else? No? Okay. Anybody, any public comments?
You guys get paid for this? Or are you volunteers?
We're volunteers.
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you guys for all.
We do get $100 stipend on our water bill.
I know.
Well, thank you.
Oh, not for the
guys.
road, maybe that for the short numbers.
Well, thank you guys for all you do.
Hmm.
It's a tedious pain in the ass and you guys are hoopers, so thank you, thank you.
Thank you, that's appreciated. Denise, please state your name and address.
Denise Newman, 753 Forest Lakes Drive. I just got to say that I do think this is a good idea to send out a quarterly newsletter. Just so there are elderly people in this neighborhood who don't even own a computer, A, and B, they don't know how to do stuff and a lot of them don't engage in Facebook and the neighborhood thing. Like I'm not on the neighborhood thing because on that neighborhood thing, there's a bunch of stuff that comes in from neighborhoods, not even Forest Lakes, that I'm not interested in. And I don't follow Neighborly Forest Lakes. I'll go look at it periodically because of all the stuff that happened with the speed bumps. I don't even want to read those people's comments, and people just get outrageously rude. They've been rude to board members. It's not, I don't think that's the right way to get people engaged in the community. A newsletter is you can read it or you don't read it, you know, but Facebook can be a place where people just sit behind their keyboards and type out really rude and mean things to people. And I've been here, it'll be 31 years coming up. You know, and I had people, when you tried to explain to them about this road on West Forest Lakes Drive not being open, telling me, why did I buy my property on a main road? I didn't. I didn't buy my property on a main road, and we asked that it remain closed. We've had no support from previous boards. You know, I have engaged with County Commissioner Matt Solka many times, and I feel like, you know, the upper portion just doesn't care about the bottom portion. And I can tell you how many cars drive by my house on a daily basis. And I think, you know, maybe a community newsletter, people might read it and say how things affect other people in the community because they're not all on Facebook or the neighborhood page. And there are people that are, you know, but maybe we can get them engaged in all three areas. But like I said, there are elderly people here that don't even, they're not on Facebook. They don't even have a computer. And so we got to look at it both ways. There are people elderly. And so I think that, to be fair, I think what Shauna's idea is good. And I think that it should be approached at least a few times to see if we get more interaction between the community, and maybe posting stuff at the mailbox, which I don't think people even read that stuff, because they put things in there about bears and mountain lions, and pretty much people don't understand that either. So I think it's a better way to interact. You know, we used to get those newsletters. We still have them. Joanna Graves, I believe, was the one who was writing those up. And I think it's a good way to get more interaction and more community involvement. So that's my suggestion, and I would like to see it happen. Thank you.
All right.
Just for clarification, why this dollar amount's coming in front of the board is because it's an advisory committee that formed on behalf of the board, so we don't want advisory committees just spending money without board approving that, and that's why it's on.
Yeah. Understood. Okay.
So we have a draft motion to apportion that money. I don't know that we've addressed that. Have we?
No, I was getting ready to, and I hadn't asked anybody if they had any opinions. I would like to make, this is Julie, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the road safety committee funding and the request of $564.22 to send out a piggyback newsletter on with Forest Lakes newsletter once, and then start moving towards digital.
I'll second.
That was Jim.
I'm just wondering why we have the alternative option. You know?
I don't know what the $600 is.
So I put the alternative on there not to exceed $600 in case there were some other hidden costs that we weren't aware of.
Yeah.
So I think the 564 just covers
the
the
basic, the
mailing or the postage. When I talked to Carissa, I did tell her that we have some card stock that the district had already purchased.
Right.
If y'all want to use that, then there wouldn't be any other costs that I could imagine. I think when Corey and I talked about it, the 600 was just in case there was something else we hadn't thought of.
Yeah.
The 564 would just cover postage.
Yeah.
The 600 would give you guys a little cushion.
Yeah,
if there was
$35
something else.
ish.
Yeah, if it came up. So,
Because we would be using the card stock and the envelopes you already have that don't get used.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So really, it's just postage.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think,
It was just enough.
yeah. I don't think they need it.
I wasn't sure we had it on there like.
Yeah.
It was just enough.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All those opposed?
No, I was gonna say.
Oh,
First.
you're an aye?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm an aye. So, that's unanimous. Now, we're gonna move on to advisory committee reports. For future agenda items, budget committee.
No report, it's getting to be budget time, but no report at the moment.
And Corey, do you want to explain why we don't have the financials in here, just so everybody's aware how that works?
Yeah, I could do that. So when we sent the packet out originally, the financials were not completed yet. Because we are a small entity and Shauna and I have signature authority. It's been recommended to us by previous auditors that we have our third party accountant reconcile the accounts and draw up the financials. That way it's just another level of security to prove that Shauna and I are in here cutting checks to my personal banking account. So, our accountant is the one that reconciles the account, which is what we input into the system, and then she prints it, finalizes the financials and sends them to us for review, and then it gets added into the packet. we got the financials at 6:30 at night after we were already at home, so they ended up in the packet, and we sent a revised packet out to the board, but we forgot to put it on the website.
I put it on the website.
It is.
Good.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
No,
But you're pulling up the 168 page one from an email or off the website?
That's from an email website, which is like 60.
I don't recall seeing that, but
We'll verify it. If the wrong packet's on the website, we'll get it uploaded. But that's why the financial statements weren't in this packet,
all right.
the original packet sent out, sorry.
Yeah, thank you. And then you're in charge of preparing the budget for the year.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm the overall budget master. The accountant is our checks and balances to keep us in line.
Okay.
Outside of the board.
Recreation committee.
I just want to acknowledge Daryl, this last movie night or the previous one, there was, a game time decision due to the weather. And I felt like he really did a good job communicating online. I know, that's one of those things that's hard to judge in Colorado, and I think he put out the information clearly and made the right decision that night, and I appreciate the effort that goes into that with Daryl and the district, so thank you for that. Besides that, I have nothing else.
Yeah, maybe this time the line won't store it like this last one.
So have you guys, because you guys have been on the recreation committee now for a long time, have you reached out to the residents
To get people involved.
Mhm.
I think we posted something on our website and we have not received it. We haven't received any response for
Just
I'm just wondering if you guys could maybe engage with Sean and Daryl and maybe try and help movie night. Well, that's the last one, wasn't it, Sean?
There's one more on August 29th.
Maybe, I don't know, help with like the holiday thing and the movie nights, making them better, since, a lot of the residents are maybe not responding, or maybe we could put it out there again. How did we get the road committee? We just had letters of intent, but
Asking for letters of interest.
on Facebook and stuff.
We have read with not letters of interest, and there has been an email chain that I've started and found passed off, but from previous conversation earlier today, sounds like certain email addresses were not working, so that has been fixed, and I can resend that email to include the rec committee and their interest.
I mean, maybe we could put it back out on Forest Lake's webpage or something, do you want to be on the road committee, then they can reach out to you guys.
and I can't remember where we stand with funding for recreation stuff, is it? I don't think we have any money for recreation stuff.
There is
Did that
money.
get in there?
So
this year?
we do budget money every year for recreational, whether it's upgrading or fixing broken stuff at the parks. The tips around the lake.
Oh, you're right, thank you.
That 20,000 was strictly set aside for recreation facilities. To start growing interest, but in the actual budget, there is money set aside for these events.
Yeah.
Like we budget for the movie nights, we budget for some park repairs or park maintenance. So there is in the general fund a subcategory of rec fund. So you have your road maintenance fund, your rec fund, and then the general admin fund.
I'm just thinking things like the food truck night or something. Doesn't cost any money. Or, Daryl and the team are keeping this area pretty good. Maybe we some kind of a, I don't know, game day or something, badminton and things the kids like to do, different things.
Or Slick's block party.
Yeah, some kind of a block, yeah, it'd be kind of like a block party. Everybody bring food and tables and chairs or something. Anyway, okay. Personnel committee. Nothing, road safety committee we did, a request for future agenda items, anybody on the board?
Just any, that information about the potential contract for the district and.
Anybody online?
I have a question.
Yes.
So I think I've brought this up before about, dredging some of the infill material that's gone into the lake. So that when we actually get water, which someday it will happen, we have the volume that we were allocated initially, which I'm sure the volume of the lake at this point with all of the stuff that's detritus has flown into there, has decreased the volume of the lake. Is that something we could consider, to have the volume of the lake where it could, our maximum allowable limit? Yeah, or even just pull dirt to the, or some of the stuff to the sides. It doesn't have to necessarily come out, but
Definitely look into it. We could look at tying it into the dam project, but
Yeah, so maybe the talk with you or David. That exact thing. Because if we do the dam fixing, one of you two told me that we have to drain the lake to do it, so that'd be an ideal time.
yeah.
If we have to, the repair, the cheapest option is to drain it. We looked at, I know we look at, we have to drain it. Either we drain it completely and it saves us money, or we drain it to a point where we can install a coffer dam to do the work, which will increase the cost of that project.
Yeah, we have an awful lot of dry lake at this moment. This seemed like a good time to maybe do that if it was possible.
And Gerald's not online anymore, but if I remember correctly, he said repairs need to be made to the ditch going into the lake,
Yeah.
right?
There are some repairs that are.
Oh, from the fire mitigation?
No, that's been repaired, but there's, outside of that, there's a couple of breaches on the ditch that have been located, so
Okay.
the amount of water we can be getting is not making it to sympatical.
Yeah.
There are not
It's
been.
definitely full of stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're not
I
even talking about-
wasn't saying that was the only, or
Sure, yeah.
I just wanted y'all to be aware that we're not getting all the flow we could because there needs to be repairs made on those ditches or whatever you call them. Sorry, not my round, but
We are, Daryl and I have been heavily talking about what needs to happen, and that is gonna be in next year's budget to fix it.
Since it's so low, we could just put a sand beach in there when it.
No. Careful what you ask for.
Hey,
Don't
sorry.
worry, right?
Huh?
Thank you.
You.